Chapter 138. Young man, do you think it's right? Oh, it's not right. Then I'll change it. It's not right either. Behind the Shuiyan restaurant, in one of the several courtyards that were specifically used for living, the little girl that was arranged by Li Sun was currently playing with her little brother. The little child had just been fed milk today, and was currently smiling foolishly. He didn't know what his big sister was saying to him, but as long as his big sister smiled at him, he would smile along with her, and a lot of saliva would flow out. Once the food was served, and the pig's knuckle soup was served, the woman had milk the next night. She held the child in her arms, and fed him with a face full of happiness. She was in charge of washing the dishes, and always washed every plate clean. She never needed to be urged. After washing the plates, she rushed to do other chores when she saw that there were others. She was grateful to that young master Li Sun for giving her something to do, but his status was definitely not low. Perhaps he didn't want someone like her to work for him. She could only try her best to do something for the restaurant. She knew the price of the pig's knuckle. It costs 1 pig's knuckle every 2 days. Even an ordinary person couldn't afford it, let alone a poor family. That young master didn't send anyone to ask about them these 2 days. If the restaurant wanted to deduct something, no one would know. She still had that young master to answer to, but no one would care about Luer. She had been eating good food these few days. She also knew that it was the leftovers of those rich people. Some of them didn't even touch a single piece of food. Wouldn't they take it and sell it to others? Wouldn't the waiter eat it himself? A plate full of mutton was sent over. If this wasn't a big deal, what about the clothes that were specially made? It was said that everyone in the restaurant had to wear the same clothes. She and her man wore the same clothes. Luer and young man also made clothes for them, especially young man. She was wearing a silk dress. When she put it on, young man smiled comfortably. Many diapers were prepared. When they were brought over, they still had the fragrance of flowers on them. They were specially made for them. Since he was being so considerate, he would feel guilty if he didn't do more work. He even gave young man a lot of toys. He even gave her a cart to teach her how to walk. It was a big circle made of thin wood with 3 poles connected to it. Below the poles were small wheels. There were a few strips of cloth on the circle, and the circle was wider when it was connected to the middle. He could put young man in that place, and she could sit there without moving. She could also walk around when she wanted to. There was no need to be afraid of falling. This thing was too rare. He had never seen it before. Sister Fong, help me bring 20 plates over. Just as she was thinking about this, a waiter in front of her called out to her. Sai, I'll be right there. Hearing someone call her, she naturally had to go over. She took the 20 plates and looked at them one by one to see if there was a gap. If there was, the restaurant would definitely not use it. Unlike some small stalls, they would continue to put things in even if there was a gap. Waiting for her to bring the plates over, the waiter took them over and looked at her leaving figure. He sighed. Gotsi, hurry up. What are you doing? Are you planning to do something to her? A chef was waiting over there to put the dishes. Seeing him like this, he said, What do you mean? I'm only 15 years old today. After I save more money, I'll find a wife in the future. I feel that his family is really pitiful. Fortunately, they met us. Otherwise, I don't know what would happen to them. That young man just started to put on weight these 2 days. She used to be thin before, the waiter said with emotion as he brought the plates to the chef. The chef put the dishes on the plates and handed them to another waiter. He turned around and said, There are so many people suffering in this world. Can you help them all? The main family is still better. The one surnamed Li left her alone. The main family heard about it and specially sent clothes for her. Today they sent the fattest pork shoulder. I'll cook it in a while and stew it until it's soft. When the time comes, you can hold your breath and drink it in one mouthful. Take some time to go back and check on the 2 children. Don't hurt them. Didn't the main family bring some pictures the day before yesterday? They showed them to Lu and said something like 165. They want us to treat their family well. The main family wants to eat and drink well. They also want to make a midnight snack for Lu. I heard that they want to find a doctor and put it in the restaurant. One is to check on people who are not feeling well after eating, and the other is to take care of Lu. If she's sick, she must be cured. Oh yes, there is such a thing. Master and I, please do it first. I almost forgot something important. The main family said that if you don't want the fruits, I'll send them to Lu immediately. I don't know what the picture is. I looked at it for a while, but still couldn't understand it. When the waiter heard the cook's words, he didn't dare to delay. He got some fruits and quickly made a fruit plate. He carried it and walked to the small yard. When he arrived at the small yard, he happened to see Lu with her brother turning the Rubik's Cube twice. All 6 sides were correct. He was stunned. He was almost 10 years older than Lu and had played with this for a long time. At most, he could only get 1 side right. He didn't expect that such a big child could get all 6 sides right. Xiao Man, now I finally know. It's not too difficult. When I win, I'll buy you something good. Luer's voice woke the waiter up. He quickly walked over and gave her the fruit plate. He said, Sister Luer, you're so good. You actually got the Rubik's Cube right in 1 day. Can you show it to me again? Thank you, Brother Gotzi. Here, you can mess it up. I'll show you. In fact, it's very easy. I've thought of a way to solve the Rubik's Cube. I'll tell you later. Come, Xiao Man, drink this juice. When you grow up, you'll have strength to work more and be filial to your parents. Luer saw Brother Gotzi coming over to give them fruits and juice. She smiled sweetly and handed the Rubik's Cube to him. She took the juice and fed her brother first. After the shock just now, the waiter remembered that Luer had just messed up 2 parts of the Rubik's Cube and got it back. Seeing that Luer didn't care about him and fed her brother first, he took the Rubik's Cube and spun it vigorously. When Xiao Man finished drinking the juice, he had already messed up the Rubik's Cube. He handed it to Luer and watched her play with it skeptically. His eyes widened. If Luer could really solve it, he wanted to learn from Ishua. Luer took the Rubik's Cube and looked back and forth. Her hands moved quickly. In less than half an hour, she had solved the Rubik's Cube into 6 sides in front of the waiter. She handed it over again and said, Brother Gotzi, I just figured it out, so it's a little slow. It'll be faster after I practice. I won't play with it after I win the prize. It's not fun. Gotzi took the Rubik's Cube and looked at it carefully. He couldn't see any difference and finally believed it. At the same time, the way he looked at Luer changed. No wonder the main family was so good to Luer's family. He heard that if an ordinary person didn't know the rules of the Rubik's Cube, it would be very difficult for them to solve it. Luer had never learned this before. She brought it in the morning, and it was still bright. In less than a day, she had solved it. What did the person who brought it say? If you're not smart, don't even think about playing with this unless someone tells you the rules first. Gotzi, what are you doing? Stealing Luer's toy. Just as the waiter was in a daze, Steward Zhang's voice came from the courtyard door. Gotzi was so scared that he immediately stuffed the Rubik's Cube back into Luer's hands. Steward Zhang, why are you here? I didn't steal Luer's toy. I came to give you fruits. Luer just solved the Rubik's Cube. Let me see, it's really amazing. The waiter turned around and explained to Steward Zhang. Okay. Steward Zhang responded. When he turned to Luer, he said, Miss Luer, don't you have any more toys to play with? The main family thought of this long ago, and specially sent you new toys. This is the 9 linked rings. Everyone else is playing with them. There's also this, which you can't find anywhere else. It's called Huarong Dao. Chow Chow is trapped. You need to use the least amount of effort to move these things, and let Chow Chow escape from this place. The main family said that it would take at most 2 days. At that time they will send you new toys. At night, a father and son will come to teach you about historical facts. There are still 5 days left. When the time comes, the competition will begin. The main family said that historical facts, Rubik's Cube, and intelligence are all prepared for you. You can at least get first place in 2. Luer, the main family said that as long as you want something, the main family will do their best to give it to you. Tell me, what do you want? After the housekeeper finished speaking, Luer and the waiter both had different expressions. Luer didn't understand why the main family of the Zhang family was so good to her. She looked at the 2 new toys in front of her. The 9 linked rings seemed to be able to be removed when one was alone or in pairs. When it was time to put them on, it could be reversed. The waiter was no longer as shocked by Lu as before. He suddenly thought that no matter how good Lu was, could she be compared to the young master and the young lady? The housekeeper's words had explained everything. The main family was actually just the young master and the young lady. They were actually able to come at this time. And this was the moment when Lu had just faced the Rubik's Cube. Thinking about what Lu said just now, she wouldn't play with it after she won the prize. It wasn't fun, it was too easy. The young master and the young lady had even calculated this. The new toys were also sent. Compared to this, Lu was really nothing. Good. Fortunately, I didn't have any second thoughts. When Li Cheng came, I didn't waver at all when he gave me benefits. Otherwise, the young master would definitely know. If he wanted to beat me to death, the government wouldn't go after him. The whole family had an irrevocable contract. Even if it wasn't an irrevocable contract, it would still be the same. Lu, have you thought about it? This is the first time the main family has treated someone like this. Steward Zhang asked Lu again. Chapter 139. Lu's thoughts were interrupted by Steward Zhang's voice. She smiled shyly and said, I don't want anything. I just want my parents and young man to eat and wear. We don't have anywhere to go now, so we'll stay here first. When we have the money, we'll build our own house. I was looking at the 9 consecutive rings just now. It's not that I didn't want to answer you. When Steward Zhang heard Lu's words, he felt that he was starting to like this little girl. She was always thinking about others and not herself. However, she didn't know that she was the one that the young master and young lady really liked. Otherwise, they wouldn't have given her so many benefits. He thought about what the young master said when he asked him to come over and asked, Lu, did you think that if you want to get all the rings, you have to go up in pairs? That's right. Actually, it can be said that if you want to go up, you have to go up first. If you want to go down, you have to go up first. If you want to go up, you have to go down first. If you want to go down, you have to go up first. If you want to go up, you have to go down first. If you want to go down, you have to go up first. If you want to go up, you have to go down first. If you want to go down, you have to go up first. Lu nodded seriously. She looked at the housekeeper differently. She felt that the housekeeper was thinking the same thing as her. Steward Zhang really couldn't feel this resonance. At this moment, he was thinking the same thing as the shop assistant. The young master and young master were really meticulous. They even knew what Lu was going to say in advance. Although there were some differences at that time, the meaning was the same. Uncle Housekeeper, I really don't want anything. Are you angry? Lu saw that the housekeeper didn't say anything after she finished speaking, so she asked worriedly with tears in her eyes. I'm not angry, I'm not angry. Lu is such a good child. Why would I be angry? Uncle was very happy. After Lu finished competing, there would be other teachers coming to teach Lu in the future. There would be some who specialized in arithmetic, some who taught calligraphy, and some who taught physics. When the time came, the main family would give Lu a few books to read. Lu, don't worry about the house. The master has already said that before this winter, he will build a beautiful house for Lu's family. He will also make winter clothes for Lu. As long as Lu studies hard. The housekeeper didn't dare to let Lu cry. The 2 young masters had said more than once that they had to make Lu happy. Why are you treating us so well? Lu was a little surprised by the Zhang family's care for her family. She found it unbelievable. Just because you are a good child. Uncle likes good children the most. When the time comes, you can go to the school in Zhuangzi to have a look. If you want to learn there, you can learn from them. If you feel that the teacher speaks slowly, I will specially find a teacher for you. Steward Zhang naturally couldn't say that this was the little lord's arrangement, so he could only find an excuse. Lu had a high IQ, but that did not mean that she had a high EQ as well. She only felt that the people at Zhangjia Zhuangzi were all good people who helped her family, and they never considered themselves. Meng nodded and said, Uncle, don't worry. Lu will definitely study hard and repay Zhangjia Zhuangzi when the time comes. Xiaoman, why did you pee again? Look, you have dirted someone's car. Lu didn't forget to take care of her brother while she was talking. As soon as her brother peed, she picked him up, smiled at Steward Zhang and the shop assistant, and walked into the house. Steward Zhang, of course, knew what to do. He looked back at the shop assistant and said, "Godzi, remember to take good care of her family, especially her. The little lord ordered me to do so." I know. I will take some time to come and see her in the future." The shop assistant didn't expect the little lord to treat her so well. He nodded and left with the housekeeper. At the same time, he was thinking that Luer was indeed different from ordinary people. Not only did she solve the Rubik's Cube, but she also seemed to know how to solve the 9 consecutive rings at a glance. He also had a 9 consecutive rings at home. Usually, he would just mess around with it. He would either take the ones that had already been taken down and put them back on, or he would just stick a few poles together. Was she still a 6-year-old girl? No wonder the little lord valued her so much. She has such a high IQ. She is almost catching up with me. Xiaobao, what is your IQ? Wang Wan looked at Pomegranate, who was making some rice noodles, and asked Zhang Xiaobao, who was reading next to her. Isn't it good to be high? She will have someone who can do things in the future. I feel that it is a bit unfair for such a person to be a talented girl. At least, she should be a female CEO in several government departments, such as the Jidushi. It's just that one is in charge of military and administration, while the other is in charge of business. I know you have a high IQ, a master's degree at 14 years old. I can't compare to you. I have a low IQ. Who with a high IQ would go to prison for no reason? I am an honest person. I just want to make a living. The food in prison is free. At most, I have to do some work. Sometimes, you can't even find a place to eat even if you want to work. Zhang Xiaobao put together a lot of powdered seasonings. He was making 13 spice. He had learned this before. He didn't learn it in prison. He learned it from a person who sold 13 spice. At that time, he had just left the orphanage. After the flood, he heard the person selling 13 spice saying well, and followed behind him. In the end, that person pitied him and brought him along. Later, he was hit by a car and died. The driver ran away. He reported it to the police. After they understood his situation, they ignored him. He knew that the person who had hit him was not an ordinary person. He had no choice but to continue wandering. As for what happened in the future, of course, it was simple. The person who had hit him was also hit by a car in the end. The car was the same model, and even the license plate was the same. In the same place, Zhang Xiaobao was like that. He would seek revenge for the smallest grievance. As an orphan who had suffered so much, why would he care about morality and the law? Who would show him the justice of the law? Wang Wan didn't know what Zhang Xiaobao was thinking at this time. She nodded and said, "Oh yes, there are more people with low IQs. Those who have been cheated by you don't have high IQs." Among them, there was a 26-year-old doctoral student who was a deputy minister. How did it happen? At that time, he was praised by the news again and again. Yes, it must be the tragedy of the education system. I firmly believe in this. Otherwise, why would that fool build a primary school in an area where landslides are common for political achievements? It's so far away from where the child lives. It takes more than an hour to drive. He specially built a road. If he didn't cheat him, who would he cheat? He only took more than 9 million yuan from the school, the road and the school bus. Why would a person with a high IQ spend so much effort to steal such a small amount of money? Zhang Xiaobao disdainfully curled his lips. He sniffed the 13 spice he had just made, suddenly turned his head and sneezed. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao's appearance and suddenly laughed. I believe you. His IQ is indeed not high. Who with a high IQ would smell 13 spice? You seem to have less ingredients here. You don't understand. Sneezing can ease the tension in the body. Who said 13 spice has 13 kinds of spices? I helped to sell 16 kinds of spices. Later he taught me 2 more. It's just that it's not easy to get them. It depends on what you cook. I will mix them according to different recipes. When Zhang Xiaobao talked about 13 spice, his hands moved differently. He took a piece of paper from the side, and a small spoon to mix the spices. He put the paper on one side, and began to put the spices on it. He swung the spoon steadily. He didn't put more spices on one side more or less. Wang Wan was stunned when she saw his movements. She felt it was strange. However, Zhang Xiaobao not only moved, but also started to talk. Winter is short and summer is long. You are always busy. If you want to eat vegetables and sweat, remember to add some fennel. You can pay for 2 yuan. I don't want your 2 yuan, but I want 1 yuan. Don't say that I don't put enough. If you eat too much pepper, it will hurt your stomach and intestines. Zhang Xiaobao seemed to have returned to the time when he was helping the person who brought him to sell 13 spice. His little hands moved faster and faster, and his little mouth sang more and more smoothly. Pomegranate was making noodles when she suddenly heard the little child sing something she had never heard before. She stopped what she was doing and turned around to look. Seeing the little child like that, she felt that he was even cuter. He seemed to be selling spices, but he could sing so well. Wang Wan opened her eyes wide. It was the first time she heard someone sing like that. She had heard a person sing in a skit nearly 100 years ago. She felt that it was not as good as Zhang Xiaobao's. Her every movement or expression would be seen by Zhang Xiaobao. He would immediately change the way he sang, making it sound so sweet. He was an international swindler. Who would have believed that he could sing the 13 Spices song so beautifully, if he were to do so? As she listened, Wang Wan's eyes turned red. She thought of what kind of scene it was at that time. Other children were beside their parents acting like spoiled children, but Zhang Xiaobao was guarding a place surrounded by cloth. He sat there, with open cloth bags in front of him. He looked at the various expressions of the people around him to see who wanted to pay, and who was just watching. He tried his best to grasp the various attitudes of those who wanted to buy more, and those who did not want to buy more to pay more. You won't lose out if you buy it for 1 yuan. You can buy garlic, but you can't buy ginger. Look at my 13 spice. I'll give you a jar for 2 yuan. If you think it's still not enough, give me more. I won't bargain. Looking at the paper in Zhang Xiaobao's hand, he folded it into a funnel shape when he was singing, and it was almost filled to the brim. He knew how much profit he would make. If he sold such a big bag, it would be different from the boxes bought at the supermarket. He might only make a few cents. What kind of life were they living back then? Seeing how Zhang Xiaobao had already immersed himself in it, and how he would put in less of a few special items each time, and frown slightly every time he put in more, they knew that those items were expensive. It was really not easy to put in so much effort for such a small amount of money. Wang Wan finally couldn't control her tears and shouted, "Stop singing. I'll buy it. I'll buy it all." Chapter 140. Sister, don't worry. Others are still waiting on the side. Although the 13 spice is good, you can't put too much of it. Buy a pack, and you can eat it for half a year. Half a year later, I will come back to sell the 13 spice. Zhang Xiaobao was still thinking about the idea of selling the 13 spice, so he didn't react for a while. With a special smile on his face, he added 2 spoonfuls of things to the paper. "Xiaobao, are you still going to make instant noodles? You only put these things. Did you put salt and monosodium glutamate?" "Stop." Wang Wan wiped her tears, squatted down and stopped Zhang Xiaobao. She stared at his eyes and said, "Oh yes, I am going to make the instant noodles stuffing bag. Hee, I forgot. I thought I was going to sell the 13 spice. Let's keep these for cooking. There are too many big ingredients, so they are not suitable for making instant noodles stuffing bag. When we offend an unreasonable and powerful person, and have no way to live, I will sell the 13 spice, and I will definitely make a fortune." Zhang Xiaobao was stopped by Wang Wan. Only then did he remember that it was not the days when he sold the 13 spice anymore. Wang Wan nodded with red eyes. She touched Zhang Xiaobao's face and said, "Well, I believe you are the best. When the time comes, I will sell it with you." Who is Zhang Xiaobao? He is an awesome person who can summon the wind and summon the rain. Who dares to talk about money in front of you? Who is qualified to talk about suffering next to you? Do we still need to make the sauce packets? Let's not make this. At most, we can make some dried vegetables and dried meat, and put them together. If you want to sell the sauce without packaging and with ceramics, how much will it cost? If it doesn't work, we can put the sauce into the noodles and fry them together. Didn't we agree that we will make 1 copper coin for 2 servings? We can give it to those who have a long way to go. There will be no shortage of nutrition. Zhang Xiaobao thought for a while, and proposed a new idea. He smiled at Wang Wan and told her not to worry. Well, then put it in the noodles. When the time comes to fry it, it will definitely taste good. You can't put beef in the meat and vegetable buns. Otherwise, you'll suffer a huge loss. Tell me, have you ever polished shoes? In the future, when I have leather shoes, I won't have to bother to clean them. If I want to find someone, I'll find a professional. Wang Wan also returned a smile and whispered to Zhang Xiaobao. She was too curious about Zhang Xiaobao's past. I've really used it before. When I was using it on a child who was about my age, he even gave me the new ice cream he bought. It was very sweet. It's okay if you don't know how to use it. I'll teach you. Zhang Xiaobao put aside the bag of seasonings in his hand and whispered to Wang Wan. No, I'm stupid and have a low IQ. I believe in you. I want to make a pair of small brown buckskin boots. I'll leave the maintenance to you. Wang Wan replied with a smile. At this time, Shirlu had already turned her body around. She was humming the song that the little lord had just sung while rushing to cook the noodles. These noodles had to be made into thin slices, and when the time came, they would be fried in the wok. She did not know what the little lord and little lady wanted to do. What was instant noodles? It would taste good. Putting the noodles into the pot to fry, and then putting them into the pot to cook. Then it was better to bring some noodles and seasonings. Why did they have to fry them first? She really didn't understand. Anyway, the little young master and his wife couldn't be wrong. It didn't take too much time for Pomegranate to roll the noodles into a ball. She took it to the kitchen, boiled the oil, put the dough in and fried it. After a while, the noodles turned brown and a fragrance floated out. She fried 20 servings in a row. After that, she emptied the oil and put it in a big plate. She brought it back to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and asked, Little young master, little young lady, the instant noodles are ready. How do you eat it? It's done so quickly? Well, I'll tell you how to eat it. You go and get a big bowl. It's better to get a small one and bring it here. Cut some braised meat and fresh vegetables. Don't forget the salt and MSG. Also bring some hot water. Zhang Xiaobao looked at the fried noodles and asked Pomegranate to get the things. Pomegranate moved quickly. It didn't take long for her to bring the things Zhang Xiaobao asked for. She waited at the side to see how to eat it. This time, Zhang Xiaobao didn't have to do it. Wang Wan rushed to do it. She put the noodles into the big bowl, put the meat and vegetables in it, and finally left some chopped scallions alone. She let Zhang Xiaobao mix some seasoning and threw it into the bowl. She added hot water, covered the small bowl, and waited there. The fragrance in the bowl slowly rose. Pomegranate sniffed and swallowed her saliva. She couldn't wait anymore. After about a quarter of an hour, Wang Wan said to Pomegranate, Okay, you can take the small bowl. Be careful, don't burn it. Put the scallions in, mix it, and it's ready to eat. Try it. With the permission of the little girl, Shirlu couldn't wait to walk over and pick up the small bowl. She sprinkled a few pieces of scallions on it and mixed it with her chopsticks. Then, she took a bite and nodded in satisfaction. Little young master, little miss, this noodles are so delicious. There's a smell of shredded meat noodles. It turns out that little young master and little miss want to eat shredded meat noodles. You just need to tell me. It's easier to make than this instant noodles. Pomegranate's words made Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan speechless. Xiaobao, tell Pomegranate which is more convenient. I don't understand. Wang Wan pushed this difficult task to Zhang Xiaobao. Zhang Xiaobao had to prove the advantages of this instant noodles compared to shredded meat noodles. It was easy to store, convenient to eat, and good to eat. It could be soaked in water, even cold water. Without water, it could be dry chewed. It tasted better than fried noodles, and it was not easy to swallow. If conditions permitted, it could be carried along with fried noodles. Pomegranate was convinced by the little young master's eloquence. She felt that what the little young master said was true. It just took a bigger space and was more expensive than fried noodles. However, the things put in here were better than ordinary fried noodles. The most important thing was that this thing could be eaten as fried noodles when it was made into foam. Fried noodles couldn't be cooked as noodles. Moreover, no one would put this kind of dried vegetable in fried noodles let alone match the little young master's seasoning. Little young master, little miss, I know. Do you want me to make this thing? I have to find 2 people to help me. The fungus has grown up again. Pomegranate suggested to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan that they should help her. Wang Wan shook her head. You don't need to do it. I just want you to try it. It's the same as the dough. Let others make it. It's not something precious. Then I'll go find someone. Do I need to ask others to make the seasoning? Pomegranate was relieved. She could devote more time to studying the cultivation of mushrooms. Don't tell others about the seasoning. Let Xiaobao make it. Although there are only a few things, it takes a lot of knowledge to match them. Make more and send them to our own restaurant. These 2 things can definitely make the dishes taste better. You go find someone to make noodles. There was no way Wang Wan would agree to give the 13-spice formula to someone else. She saw that when Xiaobao was packing the ingredients onto the paper, some of the bigger bags didn't contain more than one side. Only 2 of the bigger bags seemed to contain more valuable items. This definitely wasn't as simple as it seemed. He had just randomly mixed the ingredients together. Especially after that, he kept adding more ingredients. When one was done, he would definitely add another. According to the bipolar theory, it was the balance of yin and yang. According to that scientific theory, the combination of these 2 things could neutralize the harm to the human body. At the same time, it was the same for the taste. For example, sometimes if there was too much vinegar, it was necessary to add some sugar. Of course, Pomegranate wouldn't refute. When she heard the order, she ran out. She wanted to find someone to make more, so that Zhuangzi would have another source of income. Okay, we can take a break. Let's go and swim. There's a child in Zhuangzi with an IQ of 60. What should we do? No wonder he studies so hard, but his grades are not good. Do we need to test the children in Zhuangzi? If there's a good one, we can poach him. After Pomegranate left, Wang Wan pulled Zhang Xiaobao to the back and asked as they walked. Zhang Xiaobao, on the other hand, did not look down on a child with an IQ of 60. Most of the time, IQ is not everything. Everyone had their own talents. It all depended on whether you could find them, and whether you were willing to spend a lot of energy and money to nurture them. Let's test them. We can't bury the really outstanding people around us. Usually, it's easier to cultivate people with good IQ. That Lu'er just wanted to give it a try. I didn't expect that she would succeed. The Shangguan family got their household registration and registered them as Zhuangzi. Zhang Xiaobao looked up at the sky. He felt that it was especially stuffy today. He said to Wang Wan, "Later, let's find an old man and see if it's going to rain. Also, let's see if the ants will move. Then we can't go to the swimming pool. The ants in the yard have all been burned to death by your lime. It's good that it's raining, it's cooler. The ground is about to crack. We always sprinkle water on the ground here, but in other dry places there might be holes. It's a pity that we don't have the smelting technology and can't make a good water pipe. With what we have now, it's better to make a closed iron pipe than to drink water. It's too expensive. If we had that pipe, we could use it to heat the air in winter." Wang Wan raised her hand to wipe the sweat on her forehead. She quickened her pace, wanting to jump into the pool as soon as possible. 3 days passed quickly. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan gave Lu'er some tangram and other intellectual toys. Lu'er learned very quickly under the guidance of the teacher, who taught her alone. She didn't need to learn how to write. She only needed to memorize the historical events. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't want Li Sun to get the trophy in the end. It would be easy for him to become arrogant and feel that he couldn't compare to the children here. They only wanted him to get a single trophy. At that time, he would need to prove himself and move on to the next step. During these 3 days, the heavens finally sprinkled rain. For 3 consecutive days, there was no heavy rain. Instead, it drizzled continuously. The water level of the small river gradually rose. Everywhere was moist. However, the rain came too late. It couldn't solve the problem of the drought. Some people were even afraid that it would rain again when the food was ready. Chapter 141. Zhang Xiaobao stood in front of the window and looked at the rain that seemed to never stop. He muttered, "Now we don't lack water anymore. I wonder if those places that have matured earlier are like us. When it's time to harvest, they don't need to harvest the crops in the fields anymore. They can just germinate and wait to be planted. That shouldn't be the case, right? If that's the case, the price of food this year will increase by a lot. It's impossible for the whole country to have rain at the same time. It's just like how other places don't have droughts. The drought-stricken places have already failed, so it's not that bad. When the time comes, we can wait for the imperial court to provide relief. Li Longji is still a good person in the early stages. Wang Wan was also annoyed by the endless rain. It was mainly because the house was damp, and they couldn't go to the swimming pool outside. It was fine if they stayed in the house and did nothing. If they wanted to read, they had to light up a lamp. Zhang Xiaobao felt that he was indeed a little worried. The lack of food had nothing to do with Zhang Xiaobao and his family in Zhuangzi. Naturally, there would be people who were worried. He couldn't just buy some food now and sell it at a fair price. He had already achieved his goal of seeking credit for his family, so there was no need to continue to worry. As for buying food at a low price and selling it specifically for the sake of benefiting from the country's disaster, he didn't plan to do so. He wouldn't be able to earn much money. It was unlike the food that was sold during the drought. The quantity of food was not much, only a few 100,000 caddies. He could take the opportunity to increase the price. If he wanted to make a fortune here, he would need at least tens of thousands of tons. It was easy to be targeted by others. If he sold too much, he would lose his credit, and he wouldn't be able to live in peace. Xiaobao, why don't we use an umbrella to catch fish? It should be easier to catch fish at this time. I heard that it's easier to catch fish when it's raining. Wang Wan was a little annoyed by the air pressure. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao didn't say anything, she suggested from the side. That depends on the type of fish. Even if we don't catch them, we'll catch them in our own pond. It just so happens that after 2 days of rain, the ground is already moist. We can get people to connect the 6 ponds. At this time, the construction is easy. We can dig a hole at a time. Zhang Xiaobao didn't want to catch it. He and Wang Wan could only drag a very small net, and they couldn't throw it far. They didn't know how long it would take to catch one on the shore. As for fishing, there was no need to think about it. If they met a slightly bigger fish, they could drag the 2 of them into the water. That's a good idea. Let's see how many straw raincoats and straw hats there are in the grocery store. Give them to the farmers and let them dig ditches. We'll take care of their meals. Give each of them 3 copper coins as wages. Let the doctors in Zhuangzi make some medicinal decoctions so that they won't catch a cold. After hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, Wang Wan agreed and immediately arranged it. The farmers were also idling at home. When they heard that there was work to do, the laborers at home all brought their tools out. They didn't care about the wages and food. Their only wish was to do something for their master. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't continue to stay in the house. Accompanied by Pomegranate, they held a large umbrella and ran to the small river in front of the courtyard to watch the water slowly rise. Between the clouds and the water restaurant had a lot fewer guests. Only a few outsiders who didn't want to rush back in the rain continued to stay in the courtyard behind the restaurant. However, the market wasn't affected. It seemed that there were more people than usual. Most of these people were mainly here to sell vegetables. Vegetables were not afraid of being drenched by the rain. After getting wet, they looked more green. Erga gave a slightly higher price and lowered the price of fruits. At this time, the usually sweet fruits were no longer sweet. When evening came, the rain finally became heavier and was accompanied by the rumbling of thunder. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan didn't seem to hear such a loud noise and still got up to study. Pomegranate also didn't sleep today. She sat at the door and yawned as she watched the 2 young masters study. From time to time, she was scared by the thunder and trembled. She only calmed down when she saw that the lights were on in the inner and outer rooms. In the courtyard of the Shuiyan house, the family of 4 had not yet fallen asleep. Young Man was always crying. As the older sister, she had to hold her in her arms, recite the things she had learned, and coax her younger brother. The 2 adults, on the other hand, were whispering to each other. As Wang Wan said, it didn't rain everywhere. In Henan Road, there was still not a drop of water. Xiao Hong and cherries were calculating under the window. These days, they had collected a lot of eggs. Some of them were directly pickled, and some were exchanged for things on the same day. They tried not to keep them as much as possible. Otherwise, there would be no place to put them. Yao Chong had sent 2 reports in a row, but there was still no reply. He didn't know how long this matter would be delayed. He already planned to leave early tomorrow morning. County Magistrate Chung was also arranging for people to pack up and prepare to leave at dawn. After all, Sanshui County couldn't be without a county magistrate. Only the merchants who also came with food to get some benefits didn't have the slightest intention of leaving. They hated Xiao Hong and cherries in their hearts. Not only did they bring so much food at one time, but they also used those eggs to exchange for food in the provincial government outside to lower the price here. The people who came to sell the grain made a lot of money. These people wanted to get more benefits, so they took out the money to buy more grain. When they came back, they found that the local people were no longer as crazy as before. Almost all the local government had posted notices, saying that a large amount of grain would be shipped over soon, and they should not buy at a high price. Ernie was not like them. He didn't listen to the young master and sell the food in his hands. He directly rushed to Shandong without any hesitation. He had more tasks. In addition to continuing to carry stones, he also had to go to the seaside to buy kelp. He spent the money, dried the kelp, and transported it back to Zhuangzi. 2 days passed quietly. While the children were waiting, the sun came out in the morning. Perhaps God also knew that the children were anxious. Last night, there was a thunderstorm, but before dawn, it became a clear sky. All the children of the appropriate age in Zhang Wang's manor were ready. Each of them had a Rubik's Cube. In total, there were 55 people. Some families didn't have children, so the adults came to watch the fun. Some families had 2 children of the right age, so naturally, they came holding hands and waiting for the competition. In addition to them, there was also the young master of the Li family, Li Sun. His team was the most spectacular. Together with the foreign children who heard the news and signed up, there were more than 80 people. In particular, there were 2 children who were scholars, who usually talked about poetry in the restaurant. The father of these 2 children may not have done well in the imperial examinations, but when it came to educating them, he was not bad at all. They started practicing calligraphy when they were 3 or 4 years old. Now they were 11 or 12 years old. After so many years of writing, they had a good foundation. The appearance of these outsiders made the children of Zhuangzi feel a great deal of pressure. They felt that the first place of the 4 categories was going to slip away from their eyes. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan knew about this situation. The 2 of them discussed for a while and decided that they would not take any remedial measures. It was good to let the children of Zhuangzi see how good the others were. Otherwise, they would always think that they were better than others just because they knew a few words. After seeing the gap, it was good that they would work harder in their studies. A small number of children who were discouraged could be corrected through some persuasion. The 2 of them were looking forward to seeing Luer the most. They wanted to see how she would perform this time. The competition was about to begin. The venue was the open space in front of the restaurant between the clouds and the water. Someone had already paved the ground with sand. The tables and chairs were neatly arranged, and the 4 treasures of the study were placed on top of them. The children were all sitting on the chairs, looking around from time to time. They seemed a little nervous. There were many people watching from the surroundings. There were farmers of Zhuangzi, adults who had brought their children from outside, and those bored scholars who were sitting near the windows of the restaurant. The first category of the competition was the Rubik's Cube. It was originally supposed to be a calligraphy competition. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were afraid that if the children of Zhuangzi lost, they would not be able to show off their skills later on. They did not expect them to win first place. It was fine as long as they could perform well. On the roof of the 2nd floor, Zhang Xiaobao was being carried down by 2 servant girls in the courtyard. There were several ropes tied around his body to prevent the 2 of them from accidentally falling down. Today, the roof of the 2nd floor was not open to the public. Xiaobao, I heard that there are 2 children from outside who are good at calligraphy. Do you think that Li Sun will lose to them? If Li Sun does not win even once, and becomes jealous of this competition, we will end up making a fool of ourselves. Wang Wan looked at the situation below, and turned her head to give Zhang Xiaobao a look. Her lips moved as she asked Zhang Xiaobao, "It shouldn't be, right?" No matter what, he was educated in that kind of environment. The teachers he hired are also better than those from other places. Calligraphy not only requires practice, but also comprehension. He is definitely more mature than other children of the same age. Zhang Xiaobao was actually a little worried. What if Li Sun, this child, was too timid to win, and did not display his original ability? If he really lost, then it would be troublesome. Future plans would need to be adjusted accordingly, and the effect would also be reduced. While they were talking, the competition was about to begin. All the children's Rubik's Cubes were collected and arranged in the same order. Then they were sent back to each child. With a command, the children all worked hard to turn the Rubik's Cubes in their hands. Some of the children were anxious. The more they worked, the slower their progress would be. Li Sun was the most stable of the bunch. When he received the Rubik's Cube, he first glanced at the others. He felt that he would be able to win this competition. The people from his family had worked together to figure out the Rubik's Cube. He didn't believe that others would have such ability. Both of his hands were fiddling with the Rubik's Cube. The strength of each stroke was just right. He would never let the Rubik's Cube get stuck, because of his strength. Just as he was about to face the Rubik's Cube, a young girl on the other side shouted, "I'm done." Chapter 142. After this sound, the other children stopped what they were doing and turned their heads at the same time. They saw a little girl in red holding the Rubik's Cube high in the air. Her wrist moved back and forth, so that the people around her could clearly see that she was facing all 6 sides. The mental fortitude of the children was not as good as that of the adults. When they saw that someone was the first to come out, and the first place was gone, some of them could not help but cry. Originally, they had planned to wait for the incense stick to burn out, so that they could come out stronger than the others. Now all hope was gone. Only 2 Zhuangzi from the Gu family were crying. The Zhuangzi children from the Zhang family and Wang family, who had seen the Rubik's Cube turn back, and continued to fiddle with the Rubik's Cube in their hands. It seemed that the first place had not been decided yet. When one of the people who came with Li Sun saw this, he couldn't help but frown. If some of the children from the Zhang family and Zhuangzi were doing this, it wouldn't be a big deal. However, they were all doing the same thing. This could only mean that they had learned something. Well done! This is how the people of our Zhang family and Wang family should act. When others have reached the end, they should still work hard. There can be first place in the Rubik's Cube. On the road of life, one should never give up until the moment of death. Xiaobao, it seems that we have succeeded. What we have taught them is not only knowledge, but also the principles of life. Wang Wan was satisfied when she saw this scene. These children made her feel that she had spent a lot of money to nurture them, and that they had not failed. Only those who could endure loneliness and work hard while watching others succeed were the most suitable people for survival. Zhang Xiaobao didn't say much. He nodded and continued reading. Li Sun took a deep breath, but he didn't throw away the Rubik's Cube in his hands. He was as calm as ever, and his hands didn't even tremble. He knew that he had lost first place, but he couldn't learn from those kids and stop. If he did, then it wouldn't be as simple as a failure. He had his own glory. After the incense stick burned out, all the children who were still working hard stopped their actions and placed their Rubik's Cube on the table. Some only managed to get one face, while some didn't even get a single face. The one who was slightly better was Li Sun. He actually managed to get 2 faces and 2 lines. He was only missing the middle one. Usually, he wouldn't be able to reach this level. Under Steward Zhang's instructions, the servants brought out iron plates one by one in front of the children. Their names were written on the plates. As for those who gave up, they had also prepared plates, but they would not take them out now. Even if some of them had already gotten 2 faces, they wouldn't give them anything. Some of the sensible adults around them understood that these children who gave up couldn't compare to the children who didn't even get 1 face, but still persisted. Ignoring the crying children, the second round of the competition continued. This time, it was a calligraphy competition. Li Sun was as steady as before. When he started writing, his mentality didn't waver at all. On the contrary, the two children who were originally good at calligraphy had lost some confidence because of the previous competition. Even if they could write well, they couldn't write well. Lu Er, who had won the first round, was also writing. She had never learned how to write, and she didn't even know how to read. What she did now was very simple, and that was to stand up and watch others write, especially her benefactor. Li Sun had learned Wang Shiji's handwriting, and his strokes were graceful and strong. At this moment, his mind was completely immersed in writing, and he didn't notice that there was a little girl beside him watching. Lu Er wanted to greet him, but when she saw that her benefactor didn't even look at her, she knew that it wasn't a good time to disturb him. She could only continue watching. When she saw that her benefactor had written 12 words, she turned around and ran back to her table. She picked up her brush and recalled her benefactor's handwriting and began to write as well. When the first word was written, it was rough. When the second word was written, it was fine. When the third word was written, it was impossible to tell that it was a word. When the 12th word was written, it was like drawing a picture. It was as if Li Sun had drawn Li Sun's words, even though she didn't recognize them. When she finished writing 12 words, she ran over to take a look again. After looking at a few words, she came back and continued writing. Some of Song Jinggong's friends also came over to take a look. When they saw one, they shook their heads. When they saw the handwriting of the two children who had been relatively good, they shook their heads and said to the people beside them, "She can't make up her mind. What a pity." When they came over to Li Sun's table, they were stunned for a moment. They said to the people beside them, "She's getting a bit mature. After a few more years of practice, she'll be able to compete with those who have been practicing hard for decades." When Lu Er came over to take a look, the few of them followed her back. When they saw what Lu Er had written, they prepared to leave. This child didn't know how to write at all. She had no foundation at all. But just as they were about to leave, they suddenly saw Lu Er write another word. This time, he had no choice but to stop. He pulled the person beside him, who had already turned around, and said, "Brother Gao Peng, look at this child. Look at her from the beginning to the end." After he said that, the others also became interested. They turned around and looked again. Lu Er was also paying close attention. She couldn't be distracted at all. She didn't know that her benefactor was writing the poem of the Pavilion of Prince Tang. At this time he was writing, "How many autumns have passed?" The few of them watched her write. When the last word was written, before Lu Er could continue to look at her benefactor's handwriting, the person who was called Brother Gao Peng couldn't help but shout, "Good! You've learned well. From the first word, you can tell that this little girl has never written before. When you write the word autumn, you actually show some handsomeness. Little girl, what's your name? How old are you this year? I want to take you as my disciple. Are you willing?" As he spoke, he started to ask about other people. He wanted to take in a disciple. This was a talent. As soon as he said that, the others were unwilling. They all fought to take in a disciple. Lu Er was scared. She left her seat and ran to Steward Zhang's side. Only when she pulled on Steward Zhang's sleeve did she feel safe. The two guards beside Steward Zhang were already standing in front of him. One of them happened to be blocking half of Lu Er's body. The guards that the young master ordered to take care of her didn't dare to be negligent. At this time, Li Sun finished writing the last word. He put down the pen and felt that his whole body was exhausted. Looking at his handwriting, he smiled. He didn't know what had happened to him today. Not only was he able to solve 4 sides of the Rubik's Cube, which he usually could only solve 3 sides of, but his handwriting was also better than before. He shook his wrist and looked around. He happened to see Lu Er, who was hiding beside Steward Zhang. However, he couldn't tell that she was the person he had helped before. Back then Lu Er's clothes weren't good, her body was thin, and her small face was sallow. Now she looked completely different. Li Sun only remembered that she was the first person to solve the Rubik's Cube. With someone protecting her, Lu Er wasn't afraid anymore. She blinked her big eyes and looked around. When she saw that her benefactor was looking at her, She thought that her benefactor was still thinking about her. She pulled one of the guards over to Li Sun and knelt down with a thud. She kowtowed and said, "Luer greets you, benefactor. You're so good at writing so many words. Please get up." "You are?" Li Sun tried hard to remember who this little girl was, but he still couldn't figure out who she was. He asked in confusion, "Benefactor, I'm Luer. That day in front of the restaurant, you gave my family a lot of food. You even asked the restaurant to take care of us. Benefactor, you're a good person." Luer panicked when she saw that her benefactor didn't remember her. After her reminder, Li Sun finally remembered that there was such a thing. Looking at her appearance now, she knew that the restaurant had taken good care of her. Her clothes were made of silk, her shoes were made of satin, and her small face was rosy. He quickly said a few more words and comforted Luer. The second round just happened to end, and the third round was about to begin. It was the IQ round. This time more people were needed. Every child had a person beside them to answer questions. If they could answer, they would move on to the next question. If they couldn't answer, they would tell the answer and move on to the next question. The children had never heard of such questions before. A person washed his clothes for a long time, but his clothes are still dirty. Why? He washed someone else's clothes. An object has 4 legs but it can't walk. Why? Because it's a table. Such questions were asked one after another. Most of the children were dumbfounded. They had never come across such things before. The best was Luer. After answering 3 questions incorrectly, she finally understood how to answer such questions. She answered 6 of the last 7 questions correctly. Li Sun also finished his experience after getting 5 questions wrong. Out of the remaining 5 questions, he got 3 correct answers, ranking second among everyone. At the same time, he also felt that this kind of question was really too fun. He immediately called the people around him and asked them to ask these questions and record them down, leaving him to ask others. Luer won 2 rounds. Even if she didn't win the last round, she wouldn't lose. The rest depended on whether Li Sun could win the last round. He was first in calligraphy just now. The last question was about history. Luer learned a lot from the teacher she found. Before the questions were set, she wasn't given any reminders. The person who set the questions didn't know her either. This ensured that it was fair. This time, not everyone asked questions. Instead, it was a race to answer. The winner would be the one who answered. There were a total of 20 questions. If someone answered more questions, they would have to add more questions to those people. They would continue to race to answer until the winner was decided. At this moment, Luer finally showed the outstanding side of her high IQ. She reacted quickly and learned quickly. She answered 5 questions correctly in a row. When she saw that everyone was looking at her in shock, she suddenly remembered that her benefactor had wanted to speak several times, but she had snatched the opportunity away from him. In order to repay her benefactor, she definitely wouldn't snatch any more questions. Li Sun caught up from behind and answered 9 questions correctly. The remaining 3 questions were not answered by anyone, and the remaining 3 questions were answered by the 3 children separately. Just as Steward Zhang was about to announce that Li Sun won, Li Sun took off the jade pendant on his body and said, I lost. Luer won. Luer, let me win. Luer, take this. If you have something difficult to do, take it to the Zhuangzi of the Li family over there to ask for help. At the end of his sentence, Li Sun had already stuffed the jade pendant into Luer's hand. He found that Luer was indeed smart. He didn't help her for nothing. At least she knew how to be grateful. Just as he was about to turn and leave, Steward Zhang approached him and said, Young Master Li, Master has something to ask of you. He says it's something that concerns the people of Tang. Chapter 143. It's related to the people of Tang? Li Sun, who was about to leave, couldn't help but stop when he heard this. If it were other things, he could refuse. No matter how powerful the main family of Zhuangzi was, Zhang family and Wang family were nothing in his eyes. If they wanted to invite him, it would depend on his mood. However, Steward Zhang said that he could only listen and see. At least his surname was Li, and he had a special identity. He had to care about this kind of thing. If he really did it, he would definitely be praised. This was what he wanted since he was young. Childly, this way please. When Steward Zhang saw Li Sun's expression, he knew that he wouldn't refuse. He stretched out his hand and led the way to the restaurant between the clouds and the water. Li Sun looked at those children again and nodded. He followed behind with several bodyguards. He believed that the Zhang family would never dare to lie to him. Those children didn't win even once. Just when they were unhappy, many people came out of the restaurant. Each of them had a plate in their hands. There was something on the plate that looked like an egg, but it was wrapped in a layer of paper. No one knew what it was. There were 5 plates in front of each child, who had persisted in the 4 games. As for the child who lost confidence and quit halfway, there was only one. The waiter, Jiazi, was in charge of the explanation this time. He stood in front of the crowd and picked up one of the plates. He said to everyone, "This is called a century flower egg. Look, it's an egg made by Zhuangzi in a special way. Look, doesn't the texture on it look like a century flower?" As he spoke, Gaozi walked in front of the crowd with the egg in his hand. When they looked at it, they found that it was indeed the case. It was clearly an egg, but it was actually black with some red and some yellow. It was like a jelly that had been boiled. It trembled slightly and was covered with pine flower patterns. They had never seen this kind of thing. They all stared at the waiter, waiting for him to continue. "Look, you can't eat too many of these eggs. You can only eat 1 or 2 at a time. And you can't eat them every day. You may not know what this thing tastes like, but it's fine. I'll cut some for you to try." After Kazi walked around in front of everyone, he called the others who followed him out to cut up some century eggs. Each one was cut into 8 equal pieces and served to everyone on a plate for them to taste. Some people were too precious to risk their lives. They picked up the food and looked at others. Zhangjia Zhuangzi, on the other hand, did not have such concerns. They did not believe that the host family would harm them, so they picked up the food and ate it. A special taste entered their mouths. They all nodded and praised, saying how delicious this egg was. "I finally made the century egg today." Xiaobao, let's eat century egg and lean meat congee tomorrow morning. I'm craving it too. Wang Wan lay beside Zhang Xiaobao and smacked her lips. Zhang Xiaobao shivered. "I'm not eating. I don't like to eat this. It smells bad. If you want to eat, eat by yourself. Don't drag me along. I can tell that you don't know how to enjoy life. If you don't want to eat, then forget it. I'll eat by myself. I can tell that you don't have the life to enjoy life." Wang Wan was different from Zhang Xiaobao. She loved to eat century eggs, especially those made with traditional techniques. Unfortunately, she did not know how to eat them. Zhang Xiaobao, who knew how to eat them, did not eat them. She could use this thing to make porridge, or directly cut it into strips. In the past, when she ate, it was the most appetizing. She could even eat 2 more bowls of rice with one dish after mixing some tofu. Since she was young, she had heard that this thing had various harmful effects, but it had never appeared on her body. The only thing that made her feel regretful was that most of the eggs she ate were made directly with a special process. There was no lime, rice husk, or mud on them. They were clean and looked no different from ordinary eggs from the outside. But the taste was much worse when she ate them. The people below did not know how this thing was made. When they saw someone eat it, they also ate it. Some said that it tasted good, while others said that it tasted bad. However, the texture and aftertaste were much better than ordinary eggs. Seeing that they were eating happily, Zhang Xiaobao was also happy. Even if he did not eat a single bite, he said to Wang Wan, "The only problem with making this thing is that it will be difficult to preserve the eggs in the future if there are too many of them. Other than salted eggs, only century eggs can be preserved for a longer time. Salted eggs take up space. After a certain time, they have to be taken out, boiled, and thrown into salt water again. It's troublesome. Tell the people in the courtyard to be careful and not leak the recipe. All the mud, rice husk, lime, and salt must be washed away with water. Those things that are removed can be thrown into the manure pit. Add more things. It's good to make fertilizer. I knew that you wouldn't use other methods after doing this. How much are you planning to sell one egg for?" When Zhang Xiaobao was making the century eggs, Wang Wan had persuaded him several times that this thing was not bad and had many benefits. In the end, he did not waver and could only give up. Now that the century eggs were done, they were considering the problem of price. 5 copper coins for one. Zhang Xiaobao gave a price that could scare people to death. You actually shouted such a high price for such a small amount of salt water, lime, rice husk, and mud? Many ordinary people can't afford such flowers. A goose cub is only worth this much. Moreover, it needs a female goose. Do you see that? Females are worth a lot. Wang Wan did not expect that Zhang Xiaobao would dare to set such a high price. The cost of a century egg was less than 1 copper coin. He wanted to earn 400% profit. Zhang Xiaobao was not thinking like Wang Wan. The value of a female goose shows the strength of a male goose. In a flock of geese, only one male goose is needed. Not only does it have to help the female lay eggs, but it also has to ensure the safety of the female goose. The price cannot be changed. No matter how good a century egg is, how can it be compared to steamed egg cake? How can it be compared to a fried poached egg that is fried to medium well? Those without money can eat some eggs, but they are usually boiled. I don't see it as a food for the masses. Many people like to eat spiced beef, but how many people can really afford it? Do those without money have to buy century eggs to eat? It's not salt. It's a necessary consumable. It's just 5 copper coins. It depends on what kind of egg it is. Some eggs with more century flowers and more red color are sold for 10 copper coins. Widening the gap, it would be a waste not to earn money from those people. You are a capitalist. When you are chasing after profits, your heart is black. Wang Wan agreed with Zhang Xiaobao's words. The nutritional value of century eggs could never be compared to raw eggs. Both types of eggs required vinegar to sterilize, especially aged vinegar. However, she still had to refute. After all, high profits meant high risks. Some people could not stand others living well, and would think of ways to cause trouble. Everyone knew how much an egg was worth. If it was really sold for 5 copper coins or 10 copper coins, the consumers would not say anything. They liked the taste, but some people would have bad ideas. Zhang Xiaobao naturally knew what Wang Wan was thinking about. He advised, "What will come will come. Unless you don't want to develop, you can't run away from the things that you need to face. If anyone dares to have ideas about this, I will sell them the recipe. It's just a century egg. I will let them know that they might not be able to get any benefits even if they spend money. We can just announce the recipe secretly. If we sell 10 copies of the recipe, they will definitely want to know who leaked the secret. The day after we sell their recipe, we will increase the price of the recipe by a few copper coins. Do you think they won't suspect us?" "I will. The first person I suspect is you," Wang Wan replied with certainty. "Yes. What did you learn? Will they also learn criminal psychology? Will they also know some of your experience? Are you scared now? Then don't lie to me in the future. What goose? Do you eat honey? Do you know who has the highest status in the honeycomb?" Wang Wan shook her head happily. Zhang Xiaobao naturally knew what kind of social structure the honeycomb belonged to. He looked at the proud Wang Wan and said, "Actually, you don't have to be so secretive. You can just talk about Wu Zetian and that Empress Dowager Shao. They are not ordinary people. Fortunately, we are here. Otherwise, with your personality, you might have trampled everywhere." "Okay, let's not talk about this. Let's talk about that Li guy. Do you think he will fall for it? Oh no, will he cooperate with us? Absolutely no problem. This is a new way of thinking. The more you think you are at the top of the pyramid, the more you think about these things." Li Sun, who was being schemed against, did not know that there were 2 people upstairs talking about him. At this moment, he was completely focused on something that could affect the entire Tang dynasty. Father Zhang had personally come to discuss this matter with Li Sun. He could not let his son and daughter-in-law appear in front of others. Originally, he seemed to be more introverted, but now he was very active. In the eyes of others, it was a bit inconceivable. However, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan understood that the reason why he was so introverted was because he wanted to study hard and amaze the world with a single brilliant feat. In fact, his heart was not like that. Father Zhang did not have much to say about his son. If he had to say what he felt, it would be pride. At this time, facing Li Sun, he slowly explained his son's thoughts. The matter was not troublesome. In fact, it was very simple. That was to invite Li Sun to help organize and participate in a children's activity in Sanshui County. It was divided into 3 categories. One was a grassland, one was a desert, and one was a flat land. They needed to conduct survival training in these 3 places. Each category lasted 5 days. Adding on the running back and forth, it would take about 25 days. As for the forest, it was too dangerous, so it was cancelled. According to Zhang Xiaobao, it was to let all the children adapt to various living environments and strengthen their bodies. The children's ages were chosen between 8 and 12 years old. Chapter 144. The more Li Sun listened, the more he felt that it made sense. In this way, many children would be able to receive training. He thought about it according to his own living environment. Usually, he would also do some training, such as riding a horse, archery, and so on. After all, Imperial Uncle was better in this aspect. As a nephew, if he wanted to be appreciated, he had to learn from him. At this moment, an opportunity was in front of him. Li Sun absolutely could not refuse. After agreeing, he set the date. The first event was the grassland. The only difference was that Li Sun did not set a time limit of 5 days. Children between the ages of 8 and 12 should be given 10 days. At the same time, no one knew what he was thinking. He actually allowed children between the ages of 5 and 8 to participate. The time limit was set to 3 days. Naturally, there would be someone to take care of them at night. As for the older children, they would have to rely on themselves. Father Zhang knew the identity of this child, so naturally he would not stop him. With such a person around to protect them, he believed that the child would not have any problems. The location of the grassland was also chosen. On the Luochuan County on the other side of the Luoshui River, there was a pasture with a few thousand horses. There were not many of them, and the pasture was not too big. It would take less than half a day to cross from the south by horse, and it would also take less than a day to cross from the east to the west. After discussing the matter, Li Sun left and returned to Zhuangzi with a medal. The other children also followed the adults home. The lively day was finally over. When it was almost night time, the people who often came to the restaurant had a new idea after seeing the children's competition. They proposed to hold such a competition, especially the quiz on intelligence. They felt that it was very interesting. At first, it was a little confusing, but after they found out the answer, they thought carefully and felt that there was some truth in it. In the end, they directly asked for the entire second floor of the restaurant to be reserved, including the top floor. In the eyes of others, this matter was just a kind of simple entertainment. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard the news, they had a different idea. Today, the two of them did some publicity for some small places nearby, and received 1 tael, or 3 qian worth of silver. It was a good start. Knowing that there were more adults who wanted to do the same, the two of them gathered together to discuss, hoping to gain more benefits. Xiaobao, come and take a look. This is the blueprint that I designed. It's specifically for the placement of advertisements. On the road outside, we have to place a row of advertisements. On it, the names of the shops that are willing to spend money will be written. 1 advertisement costs 50 copper coins a day. Is that expensive? Wang Wan pushed a piece of paper with a drawing in front of Zhang Xiaobao and asked. Zhang Xiaobao's drawing skills were much worse than Wang Wan's. Although it was said that he was better than Wang Wan, when it came to concrete matters he couldn't compare. He looked at the flag designed by Wang Wan and shook his head. This flag is not bad, and it can even flutter in the wind. But this way, our costs will increase a lot. Using cloth to make a flag will make less money. Most importantly, it flutters when there's wind. When there's no wind, people won't be able to see the pattern and words on it. This needs to be changed. We don't need cloth to make it, we use paper instead of dye. It can also be held up. Use a small stick to weave the frame of the flag, and stick the paper on it. If the wind is strong, we can make a few holes on the paper, so that the paper won't be damaged. Even if it's damaged, we can make another one. This is the second time. And the scale is bigger than the previous time. The price can't be too high. How about 30 copper coins a day? 50 copper coins is a little too much. That's not a small amount. I really don't want to earn the money of those merchants. It's not easy for everyone. If Zhang Xiaobao hadn't said the last sentence, Wang Wan would have really believed him. But when he said that he couldn't bear to earn money, Wang Wan began to pout. Scammers were all bad. Just like how crocodiles shed tears. Who would believe that they pitted the animals they ate? Indeed, before Wang Wan could say anything, Zhang Xiaobao began to draw. From time to time, he would pick up a brush and draw a few lines on the paper. When he was done, Wang Wan leaned over to take a look, and felt that it was a waste of materials to make this thing. Why do we need 2 flagpoles for a flag? Isn't the cost high? That 2-meter-tall flag can only be taller if we find bamboo poles. The more bamboo poles we put, the more money we have to spend. When Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao sitting there and looking at the painting, she asked, "That's not what I mean. Your 2-meter-tall flag only needs 1 pole. Mine is 5-meter tall, and the frame is different. We can stick cloth on it. It has to be big, the bigger the better. It's best if it's 3 meters by 3 meters, or 3 meters by 2 meters. We can put it in front of the road from Zhuangzi, so that everyone can see it at first glance. First, we'll make small flags for others to see. We'll follow the road and come here. 30 copper coins per flag. If that's not possible, 20 copper coins will do. When they're done buying this position, we'll make a big flag. At that time, we'll let them compete for this position. We don't need a lot. We just need to put one at regular intervals along the road. It's just a piece of cloth." The starting price is 200 copper coins a day, 300 copper coins for 2 days, 350 copper coins for 3 days, 1,500 copper coins for half a month, 2,500 copper coins for 1 month. What do you think? Zhang Xiaobao said his idea and waited for Wang Wan to praise him. Wang Wan looked at Zhang Xiaobao and was stunned for a while. "I think you're dreaming. Those people are not fools. You spent a day brainstorming, and they're buying a position for 1 month? Moreover, you didn't mention the big flag at the beginning. When they're done buying small flags, you make a big one. What about the next time? Can they still come here? You don't understand. The small flag can be said to be a discount. For example, it can be extended. For example, it can be cheaper the next time, right?" Zhang Xiaobao was very familiar with this kind of thing. He didn't need to have any skills at all. Anyone who had come into contact with it would know. Then will anyone buy it in a month? The longer the time, the more money we can earn. If I were a businessman, I wouldn't buy a position at this price. At most, I'll make a flag in front. What can you do? It's even bigger than yours. Wang Wan continued to nitpick. To be precise, she wanted Zhang Xiaobao to say what was on his mind. She didn't believe that Zhang Xiaobao wouldn't have considered this. Zhang Xiaobao looked at Wang Wan and said, all right. I'll tell you. You won't let me leave any sense of mystery. The main reason is that I'm afraid you will think that my method is too immoral. For that competition, you can directly finish it in 1 day. Of course, you can drag it out for 10 days to half a month. You can have the preliminary round, the semi-final round, the round robin, and the final round. Every competition has to be done separately. Not all of them can be done at the same time. This way, there won't be many competitions in a day. You can rush to answer, you can answer. You have to introduce the contestants, right? What if they have some good poems? You can't miss the opportunity to show your face. I understand now. Each match takes an hour, and with the addition of jesting, there are only a few matches in a day. The more people there are, the more matches there will be. Don't tell me you're thinking of inserting some advertisements at crucial moments? Wang Wan finally remembered those entertainment programs. Usually, she didn't have the opportunity to watch them as she was busy with work. Occasionally, she would glance at them, but when she felt that they were boring, she wouldn't watch them. Now that Zhang Xiaobao mentioned them, she recalled those things and understood Zhang Xiaobao's idea. No. Advertisements definitely can't be inserted. If you insert advertisements, what will the contestants do? They don't have the tools to record it. Zhang Xiaobao rejected the idea of inserting advertisements in the middle of the competition and continued. There are also prizes. Why don't you say that the prizes are the 4 treasures of the study? Such a good opportunity. Let's give it to those places that sell paper and ink. We will allow them to give us money and use their things as prizes. Also, we can put something on the waiter's clothes. For example, the name of a certain shop. It's best to keep it for ourselves. The restaurant in Little Luoshui also needs advertisements. Am I too kind? You are too shameless. If it were me, I wouldn't provide you with those things. What can you do? Wang Wan once again found loopholes for Zhang Xiaobao, based on some of the ideas of the people of this era. Zhang Xiaobao put down his pen and put his 2 small hands behind his head. He leaned on the chair and looked at Wang Wan from the corner of his eyes. This is the wicked method that I want to talk about. What method? Wang Wan turned Zhang Xiaobao's head to face her. For example, there can't be only one place that sells stationery, right? Especially in the bustling streets of Sanshui County. I haven't asked around, but I think there should be 3 or 5 shops. We will send people over to buy. We need to buy a large amount of ink and paper, but we don't need so many inkstones. Otherwise it will be a waste. When you ask people to buy, they can go to one shop and choose. The people next to them can say that the other shop should be better than this one. Why don't they go to that shop and have a look? These people will go to another shop and talk back and forth, but they won't buy. Line up a few more groups of people, and let those few shops feel indignant. Then find someone to buy it. This time, buy it for real and pay for it. Find the shopkeepers of those few shops, and ask them whose goods are better, and whose price is cheaper. Then, choose the worst shop and give a good evaluation. Make sure to say that the good things of other shops are bad, and the bad ones are good. Zhang Xiaobao paused when he said this. Wang Wan immediately asked, that is to provoke hatred between them, or rather, to let them know that the person who bought the goods is a fool. Can you get them to come here? Don't be anxious. Listen to me. This time we will order some goods. After that we will leave. Immediately send some people over, and continue to discuss the matter of buying things. If we want to buy things and send them to Little Luoshui for the scholars to use for writing, we must let these shopkeepers understand. Zhang Xiaobao drank a mouthful of water and explained to Wang Wan. Chapter 145. When Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she still didn't fully understand. Normally, this would be the time for the people from the restaurant between the clouds and the water to come over to discuss. However, looking at Zhang Xiaobao's intentions, it seemed like he had other plans. Then how will this help us? We can't just go back and forth like this, right? When the time comes, do we really have to buy so many brushes and inks? We won't be able to use them. Then how is that possible? I'll just buy a batch at a time. I'll buy some from a few shops and get someone to return them when I get back. I'll just say that the scholars over there feel that the brushes and inks from these shops aren't good, so it's better to buy them from outside. The things at Little Luoshui must be bought from outside. Why? Of course it's to pull some strings. We'll get some people with real power in the province to introduce us to a seller. We'll buy them from there. It might be more expensive, but we'll just treat it as a gift. At that time, they would definitely be very angry and send people from the Shuiyun Club to discuss the matter of buying the goods. They would say that there would be a lot of scholars going there to compete, and they would decide to use the goods from the Shuiyun Club. They would ask a person from a shop in another county to join in as well. When the time comes, they'll propose to give the items for free, and even give money. The goal is to let the scholars in Sanshui County know which shop has better goods. What do you think the local merchants will do? This time, Zhang Xiaobao explained all the arrangements. Wang Wan nodded vigorously and gave him a thumbs up. Amazing. Aren't you tired? Just for such a small matter. We still have to buy a few more times and find a shill. Is it worth it? What will we do when we buy so many things? Wang Wan admitted that Zhang Xiaobao's plan was quite perfect. First, he provoked the local merchants. Then he made them lose face at Little Luoshui. Of course, they wouldn't return the items they bought, unless it was agreed upon from the start. However, that way, it would be easy for them to notice. The shill who appeared at the end was the most powerful one. This was not only a matter of face, but also related to future business. After doing this, just to get a little bit of the four treasures of the study, Wang Wan felt that it was not worthwhile. Zhang Xiaobao really didn't know why Wang Wan couldn't think about it more. So he continued to explain. It's not as simple as just once. People nowadays don't have the habit of sponsoring others. Let's make a start. In the future, when little Luo Shui and Between the Clouds and the Water organize any activities, others can follow this example. This is called cultivating the customer's consumer awareness. Those brushes, ink, and paper can be used in the school in Zhuangzi. Didn't I mention that you don't want the inkstone anymore? It's just that it consumes too slowly. As long as you don't break an inkstone, you can use it for a few lifetimes. Oh, why didn't you say so earlier? I got it. It's just a small matter, so you can arrange it. Now let's talk about the big matter. And put the small matter aside. Let's talk about the person who should be the future prince. What should we do? Wang Wan felt that she was a little slow in reacting to this matter. So she unreasonably classified this matter as a small matter and started to change the topic. Let's see what he's going to do first. Our Zhuangzi will cooperate. Let's go swimming. If it's a small matter, just let me know when you have time. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't at the point where he had to suppress Wang Wan in this aspect. That would be purely asking for trouble. Therefore, the two of them ran to the swimming pool when the sky was about to turn dark, and came out again to take a shower. Zhang Wang's Gusan's children, who had participated in the competition in Zhuangzi, and won a small iron medal, had a good meal tonight. Don't look at the cheap iron medal. In the eyes of the adults in the family, it was a big deal. Also, the century eggs that they obtained were all left for the children to eat slowly. The adults only tasted one mouthful, and then stopped eating. Today, there were already a few outsiders who went back and bought mini century eggs. They were all peeled and bought back. If they didn't peel them, they didn't know what the inside of the eggs looked like. Each egg cost 7 copper coins. If they bought a good one, it was considered a profit, but if they bought a bad one, it was a loss. When the 3 Zhuangzi adults found out about this price, they couldn't bear to eat the century eggs that the children won. When the sensible children saw that the adults didn't want to eat, they didn't eat either. In the end, the family of 5 didn't eat a single century egg, and each of them tasted a little. When the children from Zhang Wang's and Wang's families who participated in the competition came back, they received additional rewards from their families. This time, they were directly given money, 10 copper coins per person, so that they could bring it back to their families. This was suggested by Wang Wan. She was touched by the spirit of these children that never gave up. As for the children who cried and made a fuss when they saw Luer win, no one knew if they would be beaten when they returned home. At that time, when the adults compared their children to the children from other families, they were so embarrassed that they couldn't bear it. The others didn't think that their children were immature. They could only blame their parents for not teaching them well. The children's competition was over. In the end, Luer wasn't the only one who won. She naturally received a lot of things, money, and that big trophy. The biggest victory was the collective action of the children from Zhang Wang's and Wang's families, which shocked the middle-aged man, who came with Li Sun. When he went back that day, he told Li Sun about this matter. He was the teacher that Li Sun's family found for him. When Li Sun heard this, he was stunned. He didn't expect that such a simple matter would contain so much information from his teacher. He immediately ordered himself to set up a school in Zhuangzi and find good teachers to teach the children in Zhuangzi. He didn't believe that his Zhuangzi couldn't compare to the children from Zhang Wang's and Wang's. Wasn't it just giving things? If others could give, so could he. He could give even better things. Next time, he would find a chance to compete and see who was better at Zhuangzi. After this matter was passed down, Li Sun began to busy himself with the matter of raising the children of his motherland. This was a challenge for him, but it was also a way to curry favor with his family. He wrote up a lot of invitations and had them sent to the families with good conditions. He also had people post notices all over Sanshui County. Every family with children knew about this matter. They were to send their children to the courtyards behind Between the Clouds and the Water restaurant to settle down. When the time came, they would register. At this time, Li Sun had already treated between the clouds and the water as his own. When he met Father Zhang today, he didn't forget to mention that he wanted to buy the restaurant. In the end, Father Zhang rejected the idea on the grounds that the owners weren't present yet. How could he sell something that his son and daughter-in-law had created? For the sake of fairness, the scholars who wanted to play intellectual games in the restaurant decided not to choose one of them to set the questions. Instead, they found Steward Zhang and asked him to set some questions. They were willing to pay for it. Steward Zhang didn't expect that these kinds of questions could make money. He happily came back and told Zhang Xiaobao. Unexpectedly, Zhang Xiaobao directly rejected the idea of selling the questions. He and Wang Wan wrote hundreds of questions that were suitable for adults and asked Steward Zhang to send them over. Now they couldn't let others know about it. Each question was put in a separate envelope. On the envelope, the words between the clouds and the water restaurant were written. The words between the clouds and the water were also written under the notes inside. This was Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's plan. How much money could they make to buy the questions? In the future, as long as everyone liked to play this kind of game and could come up with their own questions, then as long as someone mentioned intellectual questions, the first thing that came to mind would be between the clouds and the water. It was truly amazing to infiltrate the brand of the company into the culture. The next afternoon, the people that Zhang Xiaobao sent to sow discord between the various merchants also rushed to the restaurant. This time it was a mess. Usually, the competition between the merchants was fierce. They maintained a friendly relationship on the surface, but in the dark, they were constantly competing with each other. After being stirred up by someone, they finally tore apart their face. After arranging this kind of wicked thing, Zhang Xiaobao chose to ignore the big conflicts between the merchants in Sanshui County. He was worried about Wang Wan. He didn't know what Wang Wan's father was thinking. When he found out that many children would participate in this kind of survival game, he also signed up his daughter and son-in-law. After all, Li Sun said that 5 and 8 years old children could also participate. According to Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's idea, Wang Wan's father would never sign up his 2 children from 8 to 12 years old. If they were 5 years old, it would be easy. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were born, they were a little bigger than other children. Zhang Xiaobao was 8.5 kilograms, while Wang Wan was a little lighter at 8.5 kilograms. The 2 big fat children made the 2 families very happy at that time. It could be said that the 2 mothers were lucky and had good health, so there were no accidents. Usually, because she was the head of the household, Madame Zhang and Madame Wang had plenty of milk, and was a little older than the other children. When the 2 of them came here, after more than a year of training and eating and drinking, they looked like 4-year-old children. There were 5 or 6-year-old children, who were not even as big as the 2 of them. Father Wang was not a scholar like Father Zhang. He was a more down-to-earth person. He always compared his children with others, and every time he compared his children, he felt that his children were better. Therefore, he was tempted, and went to between the clouds and the water to sign up his children. When he got home, he was still arguing with his wife. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan immediately found out about the 2 of them. After their names were signed up, Wang Wan's parents were not very peaceful at home. The 2 of them could only discuss whether they should go or not. They could go play on the grassland, but it was not interesting. What wilderness survival? The ranch was not dangerous, and they could eat the food prepared by adults at night. If this was called wilderness survival, then what were the 2 of them called? It's so worrying. My dad is really too much. Why did he have to sign up the 2 of us? We don't have the demeanor of a big family. Why do we have to compete with others? Wang Wan was most worried that her parents would fight. Your family is not a big family. Your dad's thinking is not wrong. I heard that your grandfather supports him. What kind of thinking is that? It's more like the thinking of a small farmer, right? It's a little selfish, a little utilitarian, a little arrogant, a little afraid of being looked down on by others, a little. Chapter 146. Before Zhang Xiaobao could continue to belittle her family, Wang Wan made up her mind. Don't criticize my family. I've made up my mind. I'll go. What's with the mindset of a farmer? This is called the spirit of drawing one's sword. Then let's go. Let Steward Zhang follow us. Let's see if we can buy some horses there. Mare's milk is also fine. We can buy it locally, make it into cheese, and ship it back to the children. We can also make dishes. In the early stage, we need to cultivate the habit of eating these things. Zhang Xiaobao didn't care if he went or not. He was just going to have fun there. He was fine with going out to take a look. He wasn't dissatisfied with Wang Wan's father. Everyone had different ideas. He couldn't arrange everyone around him according to his and Wang Wan's ideas. In the future, he had to get his mother to tell Wang Wan's mother some stories, and indirectly teach Wang Wan's father not to always want to stand out. Even if almost everyone had this idea, it was best to suppress it as much as possible. The two families should communicate more frequently. When the time came, they could discuss together if they had any ideas. Well, then let's prepare. It will be over in a few days. I heard that this time, it will take a long time. 10 days for the big ones and 3 days for the small ones. Let's reminisce about the past at that time. Tell my family about this decision. My mother is worried about the two of us. My mother is better. I don't know what my father is thinking all day. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao also supported her, Wang Wan understood that Zhang Xiaobao understood her. She couldn't change her father, let alone teach him. She could only try her best to influence him. Thinking of influence, she touched Zhang Xiaobao and asked, Xiaobao, help me think of a good way to make my father more stable. It's a small matter now. If something big happens in the future, he will die. I've already thought about it. I'll follow the madam's strategy. Let my mother often tell your mother about the things that happened because of not being stable. There are many such stories. Just ask my father. Zhang Xiaobao said what he just thought. Wang Wan was not satisfied. How slow would that be? I want to be fast. I want to grow up quickly. Then we can only let him interact with some steady people. After watching them for a long time, he will naturally learn. Let your father go out and interact more with those kinds of people. Send Song Jinggong to follow by his side, so that he won't suffer too much. It's not a big deal to suffer a small loss. It's better to suffer more. This time, Zhang Xiaobao came up with a method that he supported the most. It was also the most effective method. It was just like how if an adult wanted their child to walk more steadily, they could only make the child fall more often. There was nothing faster than this. You've worked hard, Xiaobao. You still have to worry about my family. Wang Wan cupped her chin in her hand and thanked him. No, this is not called hard work. This is called happiness. When you can do your best for a family, you should feel the things in the process. Whether it is sweet or painful, it is happiness. Zhang Xiaobao said with emotion. He had never felt sad about this kind of thing. Yes, happiness. It's really happiness. Xiaobao, you are so kind. Hurry up and prepare. If you don't have it, get someone to do it immediately. Since it's survival in the wild, then it has to look like a survival in the wild. Wang Wan pinched Zhang Xiaobao's face as a reward. She began to think about what to bring there. She and Zhang Xiaobao each had a sharp needle in their sleeves. In addition to this, they also needed a small shovel that could be used to dig the soil, a blanket, a hat to block the sun, some prepared medicine, a set of iron bowls, a small knife, rope, salt, a backpack, and flint for starting a fire. They had to find something that could produce sparks with a light touch. Otherwise, she and Zhang Xiaobao would not have enough strength. Wang Wan listed these things one by one to Zhang Xiaobao. As Zhang Xiaobao listened, he suddenly said, Get someone to make some small shovels and bowls. They are the things that children play with. When the time comes, we will use them as sponsors. The quality must be good, and they can't hurt the children. Engrave the words between the clouds and the water on them. When the time comes, let someone set up a big business and use this name. Good idea. Children will have this idea since they were young, and that is that between the clouds and the water is the best place. Between the clouds and the water is also the best thing. We will let the things between the clouds and the water accompany them as they grow up. Then, should we also ask for sponsorship for the restaurant between the clouds and the water? Find a few cooks between the clouds and the water to cook for them. The ingredients will also be provided by the restaurant between the clouds and the water. We must get this done quickly. Otherwise, when those scholars compete in intelligence, other people will know the benefits of this sponsorship and snatch this business away. When Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, she also added, this kind of management method from a child was the best. When she was young, there were many things that she still couldn't forget. For example, when it came to dolls, the first word that came to her mind was Barbie. With the decision made, the two began to get busy. The bag had to be specially made. It had to be carried on both shoulders, and there had to be an extra belt around the waist. The fabric had to be strong, and the clothes couldn't be so loose anymore. Wang Wan's family also sent someone to inform them, asking them to stop arguing. The child had already decided to go. Steward Zhang also personally went to Zhuangzi to look for Li Sun to discuss the sponsorship. All the needed things would be provided by between the clouds and the water. After listening to Steward Zhang's words, Li Sun felt a little incredulous. Could it be that the three owners of Between the Clouds and the Water were sick? Otherwise, why would they be willing to pay? Since there was such a good thing, there was no way he would refuse. He was afraid that Between the Clouds and the Water would go back on their word. So he specially asked someone to write a written agreement. Both parties signed it. Now he was relieved. Steward Zhang was also relieved. It was written on the paper that the items used for the game could only be provided by Between the Clouds and the Water, and no one else was allowed to join in. After waiting for Steward Zhang to leave happily, Li Sun found the middle-aged man hiding behind the screen and said, Master, are all the owners of Between the Clouds and the Water stupid? They are actually willing to pay so much money. Look at what he wrote. It's all included. Even the carriage to go there will be provided by Between the Clouds and the Water. This will be the third time. Thinking about it, there will be a lot of children coming here. Maybe it won't be enough without 300 or 500 taels of silver. Look, he wrote that they will take care of all the children's food and guarantee that it will be good food. In addition, at the end of the day, every child will give out toys and prizes. I really don't understand. The middle-aged man listened to Li Sun's words while looking at the words on the paper. He was also puzzled. What was the purpose of giving out so many things? Could it be that it was just to curry favor with Li Sun? A few hundred taels of silver to curry favor? Was it possible? No, it can't be that simple. There must be something else that we haven't thought of. It's not a lot of money, but the little Luoshui River makes them a lot of money every day. That's right, the little Luoshui River. I heard that when they bought that place, no one wanted it at all. In the end, when they bought it, they immediately built a pier. There's also the restaurant and other places behind it, which made many people envious and jealous. Master, could it be that they are doing the same thing as the little Luoshui River? But they didn't ask for anything. No matter how I look at it, they are just giving money away. I think they must be stupid. Just look at how they treat the children on the Zhuangzi. They must like children very much. Li Sun suddenly had an idea and said. After saying that, he felt that this was the case, especially when there were two children on the two Zhuangzi. They liked children, so they were willing to give money to them. It's not as simple as you think. Let's wait and see. We will understand when the time comes. Zhangjia Zhuangzi is different everywhere. The middle-aged man didn't completely agree with Li Sun's words. Li Sun didn't refute and nodded. Okay, let's wait and see. I will go and ask how many people have signed up over there. The next day, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan prepared everything. They were only waiting for Li Sun to gather all the people, and then set off according to the scheduled time. There was news from the restaurant that more than 30 people had signed up in the past 2 days. All of them were sent by rich people. As for those who lived far away, they probably hadn't arrived yet. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang's families didn't sign up because it was too long, and they were afraid that it would affect their studies. As for the children on the nearby Zhuangzi, only the two main families came to sign up. The other rural children didn't dare to come. Why didn't they come? Wang Wang was puzzled. It was such a good opportunity for the children to play. The parents could eat free food and stay in free tents. They didn't have to spend a single cent. It was a good thing. After the game, they could even get a gift. Of course they are scared. Who is Li Sun? The people who came that day saw how rich he was. They thought that with so many rich and powerful people together, if their children were to bump into someone, they couldn't afford to pay for it. How would they have time to send their children to such a distant place? They also don't have time to accompany their children. How much work would that waste? At this time, Zhang Xiaobao also understood that the children from poor families wouldn't come. Being poor didn't mean that the parents didn't care about their children. If the children came, the parents would naturally accompany them. That would waste a lot of time. Does that mean that our plan this time has failed? Wang Wan thought about it and agreed. It didn't fail. The purpose was to involve Li Sun. Whether there were children from poor families or not, he would find it interesting. Next time, we will find something else for him to do. Besides, children from poor families don't care much. They run around the village all day long. If we leave them on the mountain, they can find food by themselves. What's the point of training for survival in the wild? Zhang Xiaobao didn't have any thoughts of failure. It was fine as long as they achieved their goal. Well, then let's get in touch with those rich and powerful people. Let's see how they talk and do things. When the time comes, we can learn from them. I think Li Sun will take the children from Zhuangzi out. When Wang Wan mentioned Li Sun, she laughed. She could imagine what Li Sun would do. Chapter 147. Just as Zhang Xiaobao had said, none of the children from poor families signed up. However, those who had been invited by Li Sun had all signed up. He only needed to arrange someone to come here and tell him the name. There was no need to pay the registration fee. The person would personally send the child over. When Li Sun received the news, there were only 53 people who had signed up. This number was not small, but it was far from what he had expected. His purpose was not to find a group of people to play with. He still wanted to strengthen the body of all the people. In the past 1 or 2 years, he had been waging war against foreign countries. If he could handle this matter well, his emperor uncle would be happy. At this time, when he heard such a small number, he asked the person who had come back to report, "Why are there so few people? Aren't there 3 Zhuangzi nearby? There are many children there, right?" "Young Marquis, I don't know why there are so few people. Zhang Xiaobao and Gusan didn't sign up in Zhuangzi. There are a few outside. The waiter told me that they are all from rich families." "Young Marquis, why don't I ask someone to put up the notice again? Maybe you can give a compulsory order." The person who reported the news was a little nervous. He was afraid that the young Marquis would vent his anger on him. So he gave another idea. "Orders? Can I give orders? What am I? You go and ask why the children of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Zhuangzi didn't sign up. They gave me this idea. Tell them that they have to come. At least 10 people of the same age should come. How about 5? 10 is too many." Li Sun was anxious. He didn't dare to force others, but he dared to do so for the Zhang family and the Wang family. His thoughts were simple. "Who asked you to give me ideas? Now that you've given me the idea, I've taken action, but none of you have come. You're clearly undermining me." The messenger immediately ran out. Fortunately, he was not too far away. After a short while he returned, panting for breath, and reported, "Young Marquis, this little one has inquired. The Zhang family and the Wang family in Zhuangzi feel that it is too long and will delay their children's studies. They said that they are willing to send 5 people for each age group. But every time they arrive, they have to be replaced with new people. Otherwise, the people who go will fall behind in their studies." That's good. Don't I have many children in Zhuangzi? Let them go. They haven't studied yet, right? How many people are at this age?" Li Sun was satisfied. The other party's reason was sufficient. Originally they said 5 days, but he changed it to 10 days. Those children couldn't be compared to him. Even if he didn't study during the day, there would be people to teach him at night. How could the children in Zhuangzi afford to invite so many teachers to visit them one by one? They said that they shouldn't have sold the land in such a hurry. They should have waited for Zhangjia Zhuangzi's people to buy it. At this time, Li Sun was silent. He didn't know if he should complain about why the Zhang family and Wang family treated Zhuangzi so well, or regret that he didn't give the children good food when he came here. He didn't expect that the two Zhuangzi would give the children such good food. Just look at the children who were sent to compete that day. Every one of them had a red face. How about this? There are still a few days before we go to other places. You go and prepare food for those children. For meals a day. No, for meals a day. After that, let them play. As long as they are hungry, give them food at any time. Meat and eggs can't be left out. They will grow a little, right? It was too late for Li Sun to regret now. He had to hurry and ask with uncertainty. Yes, young Marquis. Don't worry. Children grow fast. They will grow a lot after sleeping. As long as they are fed, they will grow fat in a few days. I will go and arrange it. The messenger was happy to hear the young Marquis's words. In this way, the villagers would not complain like before, and he would be more relaxed. Just as he was about to leave, Li Sun opened his mouth again and said, It's okay if they can't sleep well. Go and get more ice for me and put it in their room. Find someone to drive away mosquitoes for them. I don't believe that I can't compare with the Zhang family and Wang family. The messenger felt that his young marquis was crazy. Sending ice to the villagers and driving away mosquitoes? How much money did he spend? He wanted to persuade him but didn't dare. He could only agree. Suddenly, he thought of something and said again, Young Marquis, I heard that the two children of the Zhang family and Wang family have also signed up this time. A boy and a girl. Good, they are not bad. But I remember that the two children are less than 5 years old. Li Sun was happy at first, but then he doubted. Replying to the young Marquis, he's only 2 years old, but he's grown up quite a bit. He looks like he's 4 years old, but he's even more robust than some of the 5-year-old children in our manor. Maybe he eats better. The messenger was quite clear about this matter. Li Sun thought for a while, and felt that he had seen the two children before. They were indeed older than others. He nodded and said, I know. Remember to ask someone to take care of them. Don't let anything happen to them. The messenger nodded and left. Li Sun was a little annoyed. He didn't expect that no one would come for the things he had arranged. He couldn't think of a good idea for a while, so he left the room to find his teacher. Teacher, what do you think we should do? After Li Sun saw his teacher, he told him the whole story and asked for his teacher's help. The middle-aged man didn't have any ideas at the moment. After thinking for a while, he said, It's easy. Since those who are not well off can't come, then you can find those who are well off. You can personally write an invitation and send it to each family. I think they won't dare to not give you face. As for which family has money and children, you can send someone to the yamen to ask. Li Sun now had a backbone. He didn't care about his status, and directly ran to the study to write the invitation. If it was in the past, he wouldn't have written an invitation. This time it was simple. He just left a space for the name, and directly wrote the content. When the time comes, he just had to add the name. Although it didn't seem very respectful, what was his status? While Li Sun was busy looking for people, the preparations at the restaurant between the clouds and the water were more or less done. The next day, the intellectual competition between the scholars would begin. This was relatively new to the scholars. Small flags were inserted into the ground. There were also 10 large flags that fluttered in the wind. Of course, regardless of whether it was the large flags or the small flags, they couldn't flutter. They had been fixed on the frames. These flags had the names of various shops written on them. The large flags could be seen from afar. What no one expected was that all of these banners were taken up by the shops of Sanshui County that sold brushes, ink, paper, and inkstones. This time, they were all holding their breaths, wanting to compete in the Water Cloud restaurant. At the same time, they also wanted to let the scholars use their things. Some of these scholars came from the Little Nushui River. The people in the shops felt a sense of satisfaction as they took revenge. Who asked you to say that our things weren't good? What happened now? Didn't you still have to use it? Who asked you to steal our business? What happened now? All 10 large flags were taken by us. Each one took a month. Especially after hearing the gasps of the people who came here when they saw the flags. The people in the shops felt even more proud. Each and every one of them actually came here personally to watch the show and show their faces. The Shuayan Club had done a good job in this regard. People had long since spread the news that certain shops provided certain items, and before the intelligence competition even started, many people had already remembered the names of those shops. Some even directly expressed that they would go to those shops to buy things in the future. Chapter 148. This kind of effect made many people surprised. Some of them were seeing this kind of thing for the second time, while some were seeing it for the first time. The first time, because they were all children, not many people paid attention to it. Now that it was changed to adults, and with the addition of the flag, they remembered this kind of method even though they were surprised. Master, I finally know why that steward Zhang is willing to provide us with things. Look, it says that when the time comes, we need to let others know that it was between the clouds and the water who provided it. Just now, Li Cheng told me that 3 shops have found him and are willing to pay to buy things for this wilderness survival. One said that he can take care of everything, even the clothes, and the other one is willing to take out 2,000 taels of silver at once. Master, we will pay for it. Li Sun was sitting on the top of the second floor of the restaurant. Nowadays, many rich people were willing to sit on the top of the restaurant to enjoy a different feeling. The top of the restaurant between the clouds and the water was more expensive than the private rooms on the second floor, because only one group of people could go up at a time, and the number could not exceed 20. As long as one went up, they would be able to enjoy the feeling of being alone. Li Sun also heard some of the words said by the people who were talking loudly. Coupled with Li Cheng's report just now, he understood why Steward Zhang left so happily. He put the contract in his hand on the table and said to the middle-aged man. The middle-aged man now didn't know how to express the depression in his heart. He was the teacher of the little Marquis. Usually, no matter what, he would be able to help Li Sun think of a solution. He didn't expect that this time, he would miscalculate. In any case, he couldn't have guessed that the money was really given for free, but the benefits that they received were not small at all. Hearing Li Sun's words and looking at his expectant gaze, the middle-aged man helplessly sighed. There's no other way. They have another contract in their hands. If we really dare to go back on our word, we can only kill them all. Moreover, we can't let anyone find out. Do you think that will work? No, I've never thought of killing them. Even if someone wanted to kill them, they could kill the main family. But could they kill all the other villagers? The imperial uncle would definitely not leave the matter at that. With so many people killed at once, it was too frightening. He would definitely send out scouts in all directions. What's more, Zhangjia Zhuangzi was a place of auspicious signs. If the people there were all dead, could it be that it wasn't an auspicious sign? Wasn't it because imperial uncle had ruled the country well? Master, let's not talk about killing people anymore. Is there any other way? When Li Sun heard his master mention killing people, he was scared out of his wits. When Zhangjia Zhuangzi was alive, he could ignore him and did not need to give him any benefits. But if he really killed them, it would involve auspicious signs. Outside of the auspicious signs, how could anything happen? Could that still be called auspicious? There's no other way. Why don't you ask Steward Zhang and see if he has any ideas? I think they will still give you face. The middle-aged man was just saying. He did not dare to kill people. The one who tied the bell should untie it. Since Li Sun wanted to get more benefits, he could only go to him. Li Cheng was dealing with people who wanted to give him money for free. When he heard the young master's call, he immediately found an excuse and ran over. He was sweating, not because of the heat, but because he was pestered. Waiting for Li Sun to finish his words, Li Cheng knew that this time it was not him who was pestered, but someone else. He found Steward Zhang, who was in charge of arranging things in the restaurant, and said to him, Steward Zhang, can I have a word with you? Steward Zhang naturally did not dare to refuse. He followed him to a place where there was no one else and asked, What's the matter, young Master Li? It's a long story. Li Cheng hesitated. Then let's make it short. I still have a lot of things to do here. Steward Zhang did not have time to chat with him. There were still some arrangements to be made, and they would be used tomorrow. The young lady had sent some things called fireworks. She said that if someone answered correctly, they would light one. If they answered incorrectly, a bowl of water would be poured down on their head to calm them down. These things sounded simple, but if something went wrong, he did not dare to face the young master and the young lady. This was the first time he had heard of this method. In order not to make others angry, he specially asked some scholars. In the end, the scholars were straightforward and said that a bowl of water was just right in the hot weather. Only then did he feel relieved. Now that he saw Li Cheng wanting to compete with him in terms of patience, he did not have the patience. Li Cheng did not expect Steward Zhang's words to be so harsh. He was stunned for a moment and had to tell him what the young master had told him. Steward Zhang, you see, now your restaurant has accepted other people's things and made flags for them. It's not bad. My young master wants to ask, can you let more people participate in the survival in the wild? They are all people of the Tang Empire. Oh, so that's how it is. Well said, well said. Steward Zhang had already stopped lamenting about the young master and young madam. He was numb. Today, when he came out, the young master found him and said that if Li Meng wanted to go back on his word, then he should use another method. He should get all the benefits he deserved. After saying this, the young master also gave him a few words. These words were a little confusing at the time, but now that he thought about it carefully, it was really the words of the prophet. He could even predict this. Fortunately, he was used to it. As long as the young master and the young lady said something, it was right. As long as they did something, it was a sure win. What he had to do was to listen to them and follow. So Steward Zhang agreed. Then the things written by the young master can be? Hearing Steward Zhang's words, Li Cheng relaxed a lot. It seemed that this Steward Zhang was easy to talk to. Now he wanted to get back the written agreement. Steward Zhang smiled. He felt that he had grasped everything at this moment, even if this feeling was given by the young master. He said to Li Cheng, "Young master, don't be anxious. Let me finish. I think the young master of your restaurant wants to find other people to join. Young Master Li may not know this, but this kind of thing is very troublesome and exhausting. But young Master Li need not worry. We have a way to deal with this kind of thing. Why don't young Master Li go back and ask between the clouds and the water to take care of this kind of thing? At that time, young Master Li just needs to wait to receive the things and the money. What do you think?" Li Cheng was confused. What did Steward Zhang mean? Help me. If it was someone else, he would believe it. But if it was the steward of Zhangjia Zhuangzi, he would not believe it even if he was beaten to death. He had never taken advantage of the steward of Zhangjia Zhuangzi. Not to mention other things, the gold was rewarded by the young master from the palace. He changed it later, thinking that he could get some benefits, such as paying less money and so on. However, when he arrived at the restaurant, he found that the waiter caught the people eating and said that the young master of Zhuangzi was benevolent and righteous. In order to help the poor, he even paid for it himself. Between the clouds and the water was not as good as young Master Li. After taking the money, he just arranged a courtyard for the family to live in for free and provided half a pig's knuckle a day for the mother. These were not comparable to young Master Li's benevolence at all. Li Cheng remembered that he was dumbfounded at that time. How could he dare to pay less money when the young master spread the news? That would be unfair to the young master. Not only did he not get the money, but he also continued to give more, and even rewarded the waiter more money. In such a place, such a person wanted to take advantage of the young master? In his dreams. A few days ago, Steward Zhang went there and said that he would be in charge of the survival training. He hesitated and thought that Steward Zhang was a good person. But today he found that the things that Steward Zhang gave were much less than what others would give. Thinking of the past, when he heard that Steward Zhang was so easy to talk to, he felt a chill rising from the bottom of his feet. The sun was so bright that he could not feel the heat. Young Master Li, say something. Do you agree to help between the clouds and the water?" Steward Zhang waited for a while and saw that Li Cheng was in a daze. So he had to ask again. About this, Steward Zhang, I can't make the decision. How about I ask young master first and then come to you? About the written agreement. Li Cheng did not dare to agree. Who knew what would happen? He had to go back and discuss it. Then he reached out for the written agreement. Oh, young Master Li, look at my memory. That thing is at home. It's on the table in Master's study. How about you go back and discuss it first? I'll go and get it now. Steward Zhang was not a fool. Before the matter was settled, he would not hand over the written agreement. If Steward Zhang took back the written agreement and turned against him, what could he do to him? Well, thank you, Steward Zhang. I'll go and ask now. Li Qing had no choice. He turned around and ran to the roof, repeating what he had just said to Steward Zhang. Master, what do you think? Li Sun was also a little afraid of this place. The people here did not follow common sense. There was no way to guess what they were going to do. He really wanted to use his identity to pressure them, but he did not dare. You want to pressure them? That censor is not playing with you. He really dares to impeach you. This? The middle-aged man did not feel good in his heart. He also could not figure out what between the clouds and the water wanted to do. The other side responded too quickly. He had just decided to go back and ask someone to go. And the other side agreed and put forward new conditions. No matter how he looked at it, these conditions would not do any harm to him. But was it possible? Between the clouds and the water seemed to have never suffered a loss. Zhang Zhuangzi was amazing. After thinking for a while, the middle-aged man only thought of one thing. He said to Li Qing, "Go back and tell Steward Zhang that as long as those merchants promise to give us the same things in money, let him do it. If he wants the written agreement, ask him to come here." Chapter 149. The middle-aged man didn't know what to do now. The only thing he could think of was that Steward Zhang wanted to take some of the money from others. As for the result, he couldn't figure it out. Fortunately, the people here were tactful. They didn't directly refuse him when he wanted to change his mind. They just put forward a proposal that didn't seem to do any harm to him. He felt that what he did was really a bit inferior. What was the difference between this and a rascal? Even if he succeeded in this matter, it would only show his own incompetence. Anyone like the young Marquis could do the same, so why would he need to use him? Waiting for Li Qing to leave, the middle-aged man felt that he was about to become an old man. When faced with something that he clearly knew, he couldn't figure out what was going on, let alone how to deal with it. Li Qing left quickly and came back quickly. As soon as he saw Steward Zhang, he said with a smile, "Steward Zhang, my child agrees. When will you go upstairs and write the new receipt? The one from last time." "Oh, okay, I'll go up now. Child Li, don't worry. I've got it. Look, is this it?" When Steward Zhang heard that Li Qing agreed, he finally let out a sigh of relief. He took out the receipt from his sleeve and waved it in front of Li Qing for him to see. Li Qing was not angry at all. Even if he knew that he couldn't fly back in such a short time from the restaurant to the Zhang family's courtyard. He reached out his hand and followed Steward Zhang upstairs. Steward Zhang greeted him first, took out the receipt, and handed it back to Li Sun. Then he began to write a new receipt. When the receipt was in Li Sun's hand, Steward Zhang didn't worry that Li Sun would directly tear it up and refuse to admit it. Sometimes the royal family also needed face to support them. The new receipt was finished in a short time. After both parties signed, Steward Zhang began to look for those who wanted to discuss with Li Sun about the sponsorship. Confused, Li Sun arranged for Li Qing to follow behind to see what Steward Zhang wanted to do. Steward Zhang didn't hide from him. He walked around the restaurant and found 14 merchants who wanted to sponsor the wilderness survival game. He invited them to a box on the second floor. Li Qing followed him in shamelessly. Everyone, everyone. Steward Zhang shouted twice, causing the 14 shop owners to look at him. Only then did he continue to speak. Thank you, everyone, for your assistance in surviving in the wild. Unfortunately, there are too many of you. Therefore, young Master Li has already instructed the Department of Between the Clouds and the Water to take care of this matter. Everyone take a look. This is the written agreement that has just been signed. While speaking, Steward Zhang took out the written agreement in his hand and showed it to the 14 people. After reading it, they all nodded and admitted this fact. Steward Zhang, since you are in charge of this matter, who do you want to join in? A very thin man with high cheekbones spoke first at this time. The others also nodded. It was better to know the result than to be left hanging. They had seen how much benefits between the clouds and the water's publicity could bring to others. They all wanted to do the same for the wilderness survival game. They knew that the people who could come out this time were either rich or noble. Manager Yu, don't worry. I will tell you now. Manager Yu's shop is the #1 butcher shop in this county. Almost all the towns have Manager Yu's shop. Everyone, write down what you want on a piece of paper. It will be easier to explain when the time comes. Steward Zhang smiled at the person who spoke and comforted him. He then suggested to the crowd. He really doubted whether the meat in Manager Yu's shop could be eaten. Looking at Manager Yu's appearance, he knew. He was so thin that he looked like a monkey. Could it be that the meat he sold was inedible? The crowd didn't know that Steward Zhang was criticizing Manager Yu in his heart. When they heard this suggestion, they all felt that it was better. Everyone wrote down what they wanted. That way, it would be fair to choose whichever one they wanted. Just as they picked up the pen and were about to write, Steward Zhang spoke again. Everyone, you have to think carefully when you write. For example, Shopkeeper Yu's family sells meat. So naturally, they can get meat for those children to eat. Shopkeeper Shang's family specializes in cloth, so he has clothes for those children. Therefore, when you write, don't write down the areas where you can't compare. After his reminder, the crowd suddenly realized what they should take out to get the approval of others. When they were waiting to write, they carefully covered their hands with their arms, so that others couldn't see. It didn't take long for the 14 people to finish writing. They carefully dried the ink, folded it, and handed it to Steward Zhang. Steward Zhang took the paper and directly handed it to Li Cheng without looking at it. He asked him to send it to the top and let the people above see if it was enough. Li Cheng didn't expect that Steward Zhang wouldn't even look at it. He was shocked and didn't dare to delay. He turned around and left. Everyone, maybe you still don't know why I did this. Let me tell you now. When two tigers fight, one will be hurt. I can't bear to see one of them get squeezed out. Therefore, I worked a little harder and helped you accept the sponsorship. There are a total of 14 companies, and 6 of them are doing the same thing as the others. For example, Shopkeeper Shang's shop is the same as Shopkeeper Zhu's. They both run a cloth shop. The two of you must have thought that if you used one shop, you wouldn't use the other. Wrong. What I want to say is that you're wrong. I've used both of your shops. As the two of you know, there are a total of 3 tasks. So the two of you can make clothes for the first 2 tasks. The clothes that are suitable for grass and sand are definitely different. The two of you can make one for each project. As for who will be the grass and who will be the sand, the two of you can discuss it yourselves. When it comes to the third project, we will ask the children who have worn the clothes and praise which company has more clothes. Then that company can continue to do the business. As for the other company, I'm sorry, you didn't seize the opportunity this time. When Steward Zhang said these words, the two people were already looking at each other. It seemed that they wanted to compete with their eyes to see who was better. Steward Zhang didn't care about this. He didn't care about how the others fought. As long as the clothes were good, it was fine. The remaining 4 companies also had conflicts, and were also dealt with by him in the same way. After the matter of the 6 people was settled, Steward Zhang said to the crowd, "Everyone, we want all of your things. Remember what you wrote, including the money. When the time comes, we will explain to those people who provided the things when we use them. Also, between the clouds and the water will be responsible for making some flags for you. When the time comes, the flags will be fluttering in the wind. Others will understand at a glance. If any of you feel that you have spent too much, you can withdraw now. We will not do anything to stop you. Is that okay?" After Steward Zhang said this, the 14 people's faces didn't look good. They had originally planned to take all of the goods at once, so they took out more money. They didn't expect Steward Zhang to divide the goods like this. Some of them wanted to withdraw, but they felt reluctant. They hoped that others would withdraw, so that they could get more benefits. Unfortunately, none of them proposed to withdraw. After all, the children this time were from different families. They might take care of their business in the future, so they didn't dare to withdraw. For example, if Shopkeeper Yu wanted to withdraw, he would be in trouble in the future. Many people saw him when he came, including Steward Zhang, the people from the 13 shops, and the person upstairs. If he withdrew, people would naturally not buy from his shop when they came to buy meat. All kinds of rumors and slanders would spread. If people didn't buy from his shop when he was there, it meant that the meat he sold wasn't good. Shopkeeper Yu felt that Steward Zhang would definitely do that. He would even announce that he had withdrawn. Almost at the same time, the 14 people let out a sigh and accepted their fate. They had all given in. Steward Zhang wasn't done yet. He continued, "Everyone between the clouds and the water has helped you so much. Originally, I shouldn't take any benefits, but between the clouds and the water isn't mine. There are still many people waiting to eat. Therefore, 10% of the value of the goods that you have written will have to be paid to between the clouds and the water again. If anyone doesn't agree, you can go to the person upstairs. If he agrees, you won't have to pay 10% of the goods or money. You don't have to think that it's too expensive. This is a good deal. In the future, between the clouds and the water will provide you with more opportunities like this. At that time, we will talk to each shop. There will be sponsorship matters. And there will also be other places that need to buy things urgently. If you have any problems that you can't solve, you can also go to Between the Clouds and the Water. Between the Clouds and the Water will help you think of a solution. Today is the first time, so we will take 10% of the goods. In the future, we can talk about this. For example, if you want 10,000 bolts of cloth, Between the Clouds and the Water won't dare to take 1,000 bolts of cloth. It could be 100 bolts, or even 50 bolts of cloth. After Steward Zhang finished, he didn't say anything more. He looked at the 14 people sitting there, waiting for someone to withdraw. The 14 people were angry and happy at the same time. No one was willing to take out more money, but at the same time, they were happy that they could find more business in the future. Steward Zhang, I agree. I will write a receipt for you. Shopkeeper Yu was the first to speak. When he came here, he made some inquiries and knew that Zhang family and Wang family raised a lot of pigs. This could be a good supply for him. When the others saw that someone had taken the lead, they all agreed. The 14 people started to write again. Steward Zhang's smile didn't change. This time, he earned a lot more than what he should have paid in the beginning. Although they were advertising for them, under those advertisements or when they were introduced, there would be a sentence that was Between the Clouds and the Water. When the 14 people finished writing and handed the receipt to Steward Zhang, Li Cheng, who came downstairs and heard something, stood at the door. He was completely dumbfounded. He thought in his heart, I see. This place is not for ordinary people. Chapter 150. The grass was green, and the sky was overcast. The sound of the zither and flute urged them on. The quiz game that had been prepared for a few days finally began. The restaurant felt a little regretful when they saved the money for the ice. Today was so dark that it was frightening. They were afraid that the sudden rain would wet the flags outside, and they were also afraid that the people who came to watch would leave in a hurry. The strong wind blew the sand everywhere. The flags outside could not withstand this kind of attack and broke one by one. Seeing this situation, Steward Zhang was frightened. He was afraid that the merchants who spent money would not be satisfied. So he hurriedly found Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were drinking soup in the corner of the first floor. Young master, we are in trouble. Many of the flags outside have been damaged by the wind. The advertisements on them will be ruined. Steward Zhang said nervously to Zhang Xiaobao. He saw that the soup that the young master and young lady were drinking was a worm-shaped thing. He felt a little cold and wanted to vomit. He did not know what it was. It was just sent here from Shaohong in the middle of the night. They had been nourished with water and were still alive when they arrived here. The young master and young lady made this into soup today. It seemed to taste good. Ah, broken? That's right. I said that if the paper is not coated with a layer of glue, it will be damaged when the wind blows. It is useless to punch holes. How is it? I am right? Just in time. Steward Zhang is here. Drink some soup. It is delicious. As Wang Wan spoke, She specially scooped some soup from the big bowl for Steward Zhang. There were still some insect fragments in the bowl. Steward Zhang was about to cry. Was this thing for humans to eat? In the morning he had seen it. It was a bunch of red worms moving around in the basin. But the little girl had scooped it for you. How dare you not eat it? The two ancestors were eating it. Could it be that you were more precious than them? Steward Zhang gritted his teeth and drank the soup in 2 mouthfuls. Not to mention that the little ancestor also drank the soup. He had to swallow it even if it was poison. How is it? Wasn't it delicious? Normally, I wouldn't let people drink it even if they wanted to. This thing is better than the fungus. No, it's not the same thing. It's more expensive than the fungus. Isn't it very fresh? Eat more of this. It's good for that thing. Xiaobao, tell Steward Zhang what's good for it. Watching Steward Zhang drink the entire bowl of soup, Wang Wan continued to speak. Later on, she realized that some words shouldn't come out of her mouth, so she called out to Zhang Xiaobao, who was drinking soup with his head lowered. Zhang Xiaobao was having a good time drinking, so he didn't want to be disturbed by Wang Wan. He looked up at Steward Zhang and said, "It's fine that the flag is broken. That's even better. Immediately get someone to paste it with new paper. Paste it every time it's broken. This is to let those who have spent money know how important this matter is. It's just a small matter. You ate the pink stuff in the bowl. It's a waste. If you don't want to eat it, give it to me. I'll eat it. Even if I give you the ginseng fruit, you'll just eat it. Give it to me." Zhang Xiaobao didn't care about the broken flag at all. He had already prepared for it. The more it was broken, the faster it would be, and the more it would be replaced. The businessmen here didn't care about the quality of the goods. What they cared most was whether others cared about them. If one side was broken and the other side was mashed, it would make people have a good impression of them. The only thing that dissatisfied him was that Steward Zhang drank the soup, leaving some spoon worms under the bowl. For him, there was no difference between a steamed bun that cost 10,000 yuan and a steamed bun that cost 50 cents. He could eat it if he wanted. However, even if it was a steamed bun that cost 10 cents, it would be thrown away after 2 bites. That was what he couldn't tolerate the most. It was a waste. How many people couldn't eat? Which one of the people who did business with him didn't eat all the food? Who dared to leave food in front of him? Gulp, gulp. Steward Zhang poured some more soup into the bowl, without any hesitation. He didn't want to be beaten like that manservant in the inner courtyard. During the tomb sweeping festival, the master gave out things to the subordinates and held a meal. He clearly remembered that it was a way of eating that he had never seen before. The food was put in a big basin and placed there. Whoever wanted to eat could take it with the bowl and chopsticks in front of them. At that time, Pomegranate said 3 times that they should take as much as they could eat. They were not afraid to eat too much, as long as they didn't leave anything behind. In the end, one of them was greedy and ate so much. In the end, he made a bowl of fatty meat with chopped green onions and ginger. But in the end, only half of it was left. This was troublesome. The young master and young lady also ate together. When they saw that someone left something behind, they immediately called for the guards and gave them 40 whips without hesitation. From then on, everyone knew that the young master was a little different from others. He absolutely didn't allow food to be left behind. The young master didn't feel bad if you ate 50 grams of stir-fried meat with wood ears, but if you dared to leave a few pieces of blanched spinach behind, you would be in trouble and would be given at least 10 whips. Wang Wan watched Steward Zhang drink the soup while enduring the nausea and helplessly shook her head. She couldn't do anything. She knew what Zhang Xiaobao had experienced in the past. He had an almost devout attitude towards food. For many people, every grain was hard work. What did the farmer's hard work have to do with me? I bought it with money. I paid for it with my own labor. It wasn't given to me for free. Why should I care whether you've worked hard or not? But for Zhang Xiaobao, it was a different situation. He always wanted to leave more food for himself. No matter what he ate, he would always look happy. This was not the first time. She wanted to tell him that fish bones couldn't be eaten at this age. If there was a danger, there would be no hospital to save him. She had never seen Zhang Xiaobao leave any food behind. When his family left, Zhang Xiaobao frowned. He couldn't understand this kind of thing that was almost like a disease. Perhaps he also wanted to live like him for a period of time, before he could understand. Don't you feel hungry anymore? This is really good food. It's more expensive than wood ears. Zhang Xiaobao watched the housekeeper eat all the food, and asked with a smile. Delicious, delicious, really delicious. Young master, how can you make such delicious food? Oh, I'll ask someone to paste the flags. Steward Zhang didn't know the taste of the food he drank, so he could only echo. Seeing Steward Zhang leave in a hurry, Zhang Xiaobao picked up a piece of spoon intestine and put it into his mouth. He doesn't know how to use his body. Eating spoon intestine soup made him so scared. Last time, I saw him eat pig kidney. How can pig kidney compare to spoon intestine? Idiot. You, why do you have those two defects? One is for food, and the other is for the poor and weak. I'm not a god, I'm a human, and humans have flaws. You're not the first person to discover my flaws. There were quite a few in the past. Do you want to make use of them? You can try. Zhang Xiaobao was still as calm as ever, not at all afraid. I don't want to try. A person who knows his shortcomings still keeps them. I think this is a line between heaven and hell. Wang Wan wasn't an idiot. She understood after thinking a little. Sometimes, when you see someone's weakness, you can't attack it. Maybe it's a trap. Alright, I've finished the food. The rest is yours. Can you still eat it? If you can't, give it to me. I'll eat. Zhang Xiaobao wasn't willing to waste time on such meaningless things. I'm not full yet. Xiaobao. I want to see how those scholars play the game of intelligence. Wang Wan didn't eat as fast as Zhang Xiaobao. She controlled her speed and scooped some dry food into her bowl. While eating, she discussed with Zhang Xiaobao. If you want to go, then go. It's not a big deal. I'll continue to eat here. Zhang Xiaobao was stunned. This was the first time Wang Wan spoke to him in such a tone. He wasn't used to it. Then I'll really go. But what should I say after I go? I'm such a young child. Give me some ideas. Wang Wan said awkwardly. Of course, Zhang Xiaobao didn't know what she was thinking. He hadn't come into contact with women's psychology, so he didn't know that most of the time, women were the first to bear responsibility and responsibility. Wang Wan didn't have the ability to earn money. She had already received news from County Magistrate Cheng that the Wang family would also have some special treatment. These things were prepared by Zhang Xiaobao. Some of the benefits were also taken out from Zhang Xiaobao's warehouse. She wanted to take some responsibility for these things. She was a strong woman, but she was used to a family where her father had the final say. As the deputy head of the city's organization department, her mother also had to listen to her father at home. To her, her father wasn't just a family member, but also an idol. Zhang Xiaobao had some of her father's temperament, and was even a little stronger. She unconsciously recognized this identity. Zhang Xiaobao didn't know that this kind of mentality was imperceptible. He looked at Wang Wan a little worriedly, wanting to know if her mood suddenly became unstable. What are you looking at? I'm asking you to think of ideas. Wang Wan changed in an instant. This kind of mentality couldn't be explained with theory. Zhang Xiaobao experienced this kind of change in Wang Wan's personality in such a short time. He was also dumbfounded. He muttered, how about this, after you go up, when they are confused, you can tell them that I'll just watch. I won't say anything. Now tell me, are you stupid or am I stupid? Wang Wan heard Zhang Xiaobao's words, and really didn't know what to say. Then forget it, don't go up. Wait for the result. Zhang Xiaobao's mind wasn't on this at all. Seeing that Wang Wan didn't insist on going up, he didn't continue to talk about this. He changed the topic and said, go and ask how many people are participating in the wilderness survival training. That's what we really need to participate in. Okay, Brother Jiazi, I want to ask you something. Wang Wan also gave up the idea of going upstairs. If she really went upstairs, it would be difficult for her to explain. Hearing Zhang Xiaobao's words, she waved her hand. Guzi was so flattered that he ran over to this side. Brother Jiazi, how many people have signed up now? I remember that it will end tonight. Replying to Little Young Master and Little Miss, a total of 133 people have signed up so far. A total of 77 people are between the ages of 8 and 12, and the rest are between the ages of 5 and 8, a total of 58 people. Jiazi respectfully replied, "In that case, tell young Master Li to leave early, don't wait," Wang Wan ordered. Chapter 151. Li Sun didn't want to wait any longer. There were a total of 133 people. The older ones were 77 people, while the younger ones were 58 people. In fact, there were 56 people, including Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who weren't old enough. The total number of people was 135. The intelligence game in Shuiyan restaurant was still going on. According to the schedule, it would take at least half a month before it would end. Not only did the restaurant earn that bit of money from advertising, they also earned more money from the food and wine than before. The people in the 14 shops prepared everything that needed to be prepared. More than 100 children were not ordinary people. If they liked something, their business would be much better in the future. The people of the carriage shop drove the beautiful carriages to Tuqiao village. Early the next morning, the children arrived at the place accompanied by their families. They were all dressed up beautifully. No one knew whether they were preparing to go on an outing or to stay on the grassland for a few days. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were close to each other. After tidying up, he carried a bag and was brought out by his family. Wang Wan's father originally wanted to follow, but after being persuaded by Wang Wan, he finally stayed. The 4 people who followed them were 2 Zhuangzi, 2 men and 2 women. The women were responsible for serving, and the men were naturally to protect. Li Sun also brought a lot of people out. Since he was organizing an activity, he naturally had to take care of others. When everyone got on the carriages, the team went in the direction of Luochuan County. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan sat in the middle and began to sleep. They were preparing to rest and play there. The other children were excited. Sometimes they would stop the carriages, jump off and go into other people's carriages to talk. Sometimes, they would run a few steps with the team. They seemed to have unlimited energy. The adults didn't care, as long as the children were not in danger. This time, they all thought that they could bring their children to play, especially with the imperial nephew. This kind of thing was not easy to encounter. Seeing their own children running around, they thought it was a good thing. At least it showed that their children were capable and had endless energy. When they arrived at the ranch, they would definitely be better than other children. In the end, a journey that took more than a day took them 2 days to arrive. They even rested a few times on the way. After all, children were still young. When they were tired from playing, they didn't need to sleep. They wanted to eat good food. The carriages stopped, and the children came out of their respective carriages. They looked at the seemingly endless grassland in front of them and felt curious. Then, they looked at the children next to them, and a desire to compete arose in their hearts. When Father Zhang told Li Sun about this, he didn't mention any details. Li Sun found someone to figure out a way, which was to tell the children which direction to walk in. How much distance to walk each day would depend on each child's ability. In order to allow the children to identify the direction, there were flags planted every few dozen feet on the grassland. There were also people guarding the places not too far away. As long as a child ran to the wrong place, these people would go and correct it. In order to train the children, Li Sun thought of a way, which was to not allow the children to bring their own food. All the food on the children's bodies had to be taken away. They could only eat a meal when they woke up in the morning. There was no food for lunch, and at night, someone would set up a tent to cook for them. This time, he was determined to make these children suffer a little. He did the same for himself. The snacks in Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's bags were taken away. The 2 of them didn't plan to eat at first, but they brought them with them just in case. The group of children rested for the night. Early the next morning, they all excitedly got up, dressed, and started to move forward with the group. As soon as they set off, the children, except for Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, all ran forward like wild horses. Even Li Sun was no exception. "Let's go, we don't have to hope to catch any game. They've cleaned up this place. Let's eat some grass for lunch." Wang Wan saw Zhang Xiaobao looking around and thought he wanted to catch something for lunch. She persuaded him and walked forward first. Zhang Xiaobao looked around again, then looked up at the blue sky. He took a deep breath and slowly exhaled. Following behind Wang Wan, he said at the same time, I don't expect to catch anything. I just want to see what kind of grass is growing. When the time comes, I'll dig something out from under the grass to eat. Did you find anything? Wang Wan saw several kinds of wild vegetables. On this side of the pasture, the grass was not low. Even if it was specially cleaned, some of it was still more than half a meter tall. She and Zhang Xiaobao walked in the grass that was waist deep. Fortunately, some of the grass had been specially cut to feed the horses, so there was still a path. There are a few kinds of insects that usually have pupae under them. We'll dig some up and pickle them with salt. When the time comes, we can eat them to kill the living parasites. Zhang Xiaobao touched the grass beside him with his foot and said. Wang Wan nodded. She also knew that these things could be eaten after they were dug up. Some of them had parasites on them, which had a very small probability of causing people to get sick. They could be killed with salt. Even if eating them directly was not dangerous, it was still better to avoid it. The two of them walked at the very back. Naturally, there were adults following behind them. Some were specially sent by Li Sun to protect them, and some were parents who wanted to see how brave their children were. At this time, when they saw the two children walking at the very back, they felt that they were much worse than their own children who ran at the front. They shook their heads, thinking that the two children would not hold on for long and would leave here crying. Li Cheng, those two children are from the Zhuangzi school of Zhang family and Wang family, right? They walk a little slower, far worse than the children they sent to Zhuangzi. They don't have the drive of other children. Li Sun's teacher, who was the middle-aged man, also followed behind. After seeing Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, he said to Li Cheng beside him, what the adults said is right. After all, they are only 2 years old. They are a little worse than others. I have already asked people to be fully prepared. There will not be any danger. Li Cheng also thought so, and echoed on the side. The other adults were walking there and talking, one by one. They were so excited like children. They specifically compared Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan to their own children. Big brother Xian, you see, even these two children have come here. They are simply fooling around. Looking at them, I don't know how many days it would take for them to reach their destination. I saw that brat of yours just now, he ran so fast. Good, he really has the demeanor of big brother Xian in the past. An adult looked at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan and said to another person beside him. That person's face showed a smile and also said, Brother Lei, what are you talking about? That kid of yours is also not ordinary. It seems that he was the second to run out. Look, now we can't even see his shadow. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally did not know that the two of them had become negative teaching materials in the mouth of others. They had become the targets of criticism. The two of them walked for a while, then stopped and used a small shovel to dig a few times. Some were tender wild vegetables, some were small pupae in the soil, and some were even dug out a few earthworms. From the bag, they took out a small box made of iron and put these things in it. They sprinkled some salt on it and continued to move forward and continued to dig. Starting from 7 in the morning, 2 hours quietly passed in the process of children running and jumping. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan also prepared enough food for lunch and dinner. They organized their backpacks and began to speed up. The two of them walked back and forth with their heads down alternately. The person walking in front was responsible for looking at the road, while the person following behind was relaxed and only followed the person in front of them at the same pace. This way, they could reduce the consumption of energy and physical strength. The same pace, allowed them to reduce the resistance of the grass in the process. Big brother Xian, you see, the two little guys are anxious. Unfortunately, at this time, if they want to rush, they will be tired. The children in front have already run far away. When the person surnamed Lei saw Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan speed up, he began to speak to the person next to him. The person surnamed Xian also nodded and agreed. Isn't that so? It's too late. We can't see the children's shadows now. They will not be able to continue walking after a while. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan heard the words of others this time. After all, these people were closely behind the two of them. At the same time, the two of them sighed in their hearts. They did not know anything, yet they dared to criticize. Who did not know that running faster would increase the distance between them? But there was nothing to eat at noon, only the water they each brought. When the afternoon came, they would see who would be the one to pull the other apart. The two of them did not say a word. They adjusted the frequency of their breathing, adjusted their walking posture, and chased forward little by little. Another 2 hours passed, and the sun in the sky seemed to be a little brighter. The children running in front of them finally ran out of strength. Each and every one of them was hungry, and they kept drinking water. Every few flags in front of them, there would be some water for them to drink. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan rushed all the way, and finally saw the figures of the children in front of them. They rushed forward again. Some of the 5 to 8 years old children in front of them had stopped running, and were lying there to rest. Some continued to persist, wanting to pull the others further away. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan came to a place where water was provided and stopped. They took out 2 iron bowls from their bags, one big and one small. The big one had a diameter of 20 centimeters, and the small one was about 10 centimeters. After the 2 bowls were placed properly, they took out a paper bag from their backpack. After opening it, they poured the small white pieces and powder inside into the big bowl. Then they put the small bowl into the big bowl. After adding some water, they put the collected wild vegetables and insects into the small bowl. Then, they took the water that was prepared and poured it into the powder in the big bowl. The powder immediately began to bubble and release a large amount of heat. The two of them looked at the small bowl and poured some of the powder into the big bowl from time to time. After pouring the third bag, the water in the small bowl finally began to boil, and the things inside became soup. Chapter 152. Let's eat. In the end, Xiaobao sprinkled some ginger foam on top of the soup, and the two of them started eating. It didn't take long for the soup to reach their stomachs. The adults who were following behind them and commenting on them couldn't say a word at this time. They were shocked by Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's behavior. It turned out that they were digging for lunch. These two little guys were really too scary. Survival in the wild. Look at them. This is what it means to survive in the wild. When other children were hungry, they were eating so happily. Which family's children were these? That was incredible. Brother Lei, it seems that our children have to go hungry. I don't know if they still have the strength to run in the afternoon. The person surnamed Xian didn't dare to look down on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan anymore. They actually knew how to find something to eat. The distance in front of them wasn't far. Not only could they catch up with them in the afternoon, but it would also be easy to overtake them. Yes, who asked them to only care about playing? Sigh. Big brother Xian. Just now did you see clearly what the two of them took out? I'll get someone to make it today, and give it to the children tomorrow. At this time, the person surnamed Lei felt his face burning. Just now, he kept saying bad things about the children. This was not good, and that was not good. Now he looked at them. They were the ones who had the ability, or rather the adults were not ordinary. They could actually teach the children these things. Even if they didn't have the tools, they wouldn't starve to death by eating raw food. If he really left his children, and these two children in a deserted place, not to mention whether there would be wolves and snakes, even if they were hungry, they would starve to death. But other people's children didn't have to worry. The person surnamed Xian nodded, and then shook his head. Look carefully. These are some small tools. There is lime in them, but we can't give them to the children. Do they know what is edible? What is not edible? What if they are poisoned? Forget it. Let's give them a good meal tonight. While they were talking, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan had already continued on their way. They washed their food utensils with water and put them into their backpacks. Once again, they walked towards their destination with their heads down. This set of actions could be said to be done calmly, steadily, and patiently. There was no expression of excitement on his face, as if everything should be like this. as if he had already done it countless times. The hearts of the adults who were looking at them were surging with monstrous waves. The two children were really too steady, making people feel that the two of them were very confident. They would not shrink back, nor would they cry. Then they looked at the children who were still lying on the ground and crying out that they were hungry. Almost all of them sighed. They couldn't compare. My lord, what do you think about this? Li Qing also saw and smelled the fragrance of the soup. He also hadn't eaten. Just now, he couldn't wait to grab a few mouthfuls. It was just that he was a little disgusted. Those were all kinds of insects. He didn't know how the two children could eat so happily. The middle-aged man's eyes were fixed on Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He also didn't know who taught these two children. Previously, he said that they couldn't compare with the children in Zhuangzi. He didn't expect that this was wrong. Tenacity and perseverance were the best evaluation of these two children. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Zhuangzi. Where did they find the person to teach the children of the villagers and their own children? Good ability. My lord, you. Li Qing saw that the adult beside him was staring at the two children, so he had to ask again. Well, I know. Write this down. You saw the things they used just now, right? Go back and make a set. Be sure to keep an eye on them and see what other skills they have. The middle-aged man sighed and said. Li Qing nodded and asked again. My lord, I'm talking about these children. What should we do? Don't we give them food? Do you think they can still hold on? No, they won't starve to death. Since they are here, they should be prepared to suffer. They just saw that they can make food. Why can't they think of something? Li Qing, let me ask you, can you eat those things I gave you? The middle-aged man glanced at the children who were resting on the ground and refused to give them food. He then asked Li Qing again. I can eat, but the little ones must be disgusting. Unless there is really no food, I can only eat if I don't starve to death. Li Qing recalled the things that the two children ate. It was indeed a little disgusting. At the same time, he admired Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan even more. The children lying on the ground looked at the adults here, including their families. They kept saying that they were hungry, hoping that the adults could give them something to eat. The adults were really distressed, but they didn't dare to find something for the children to eat. The others didn't eat, so why should they give them food? The imperial nephew was also hungry, so he could only come over and persuade the children to endure until the evening. If they really couldn't, they should drink more water to fill their stomachs first. Why did the two who just passed by have something to eat? I smell it. It's so fragrant. The children who didn't eat seriously in the morning were so hungry that they couldn't bear it anymore. They pointed at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan's figures and questioned the adults. That's what they found themselves. If you have the ability, you can also find it. Look at the ground. What kind of grass can be eaten? You can eat it. The middle-aged man came close at this time and taught the complaining children a lesson. The children knew that they couldn't afford to offend this person, so they didn't make a sound. They didn't even complain that they were hungry. They took the water bag next to them and drank it. Drinking water was better than being hungry. After drinking the water, they began to run forward again. If they didn't run to the destination, they couldn't eat. They could withdraw. As long as they withdrew, they could eat whatever they wanted. Otherwise, they had to reach the destination today, where there were already tents set up. The adults followed from behind again. They also didn't eat. If the children didn't eat, they also couldn't eat. As they walked, they also asked about the names of the two children and which families they were from. Li Qing was given a lot of benefits. Finally, he sold Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He pointed at the 4 people in the team and said, they are from their family. Do you see those 4 people? They are the people sent by their family. Those 2 children are the little ancestors of the Zhang Xiaobao and Wang family of Tuqiao village. After he pointed, everyone's eyes fell on the 4 people. Pomegranate led the other 3. Now they all puffed out their chests and had a proud look on their faces. Just now, they had heard all the praises of the young master and young lady. The honor of the master was also their honor. Pomegranate also thought in her heart, if these people know that the young master and young lady are only 2 years old, they will be even more surprised. It's not wrong to follow such a master. The crowd followed them forward. Some of the children in front were unwilling to continue to follow the children, who were shouting that they were hungry. So they quickened their pace. These children's families naturally had to accompany them. Even if there were many people protecting them behind, they couldn't leave their children behind and follow them. As Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan chased forward, more and more adults stayed to accompany the children, but they were all overtaken. When it was 4:45, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan stopped again. They had overtaken many people. If they continued to walk, they would need to walk for 4 hours. According to this speed, they would arrive at their destination in about 4:45. But they still chose to stop. They cut a few small bundles of grass with a knife, tied them up, and propped them up. They took out 2 blankets from their backpacks, spread one under the grass, and put the other on the grass. The 2 of them got into the blankets, lay down, and closed their eyes to sleep. This was the hottest time of the day. If they continued to walk, the fatigue of the body would increase, and the salt would be lost too quickly. Lying down for an hour to rest, they could still avoid the hot sun. When the adults saw the 2 of them, no one said that the 2 of them would be left far behind. Everyone was now uncomfortably hot. If there was a place like this, it was really good to lie down and rest. They didn't know if the children who walked under the sun could make it to their destination. After 1/4 of an hour, Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao, who had slept, got up and tidied up. They rushed forward again. They were not worried that they couldn't catch up with the others. They didn't eat at noon, ran so fast in the morning, and walked under the sun in the afternoon. It was good enough that they didn't get heat stroke. How far did they expect to go? The children walking in front of them didn't get heat stroke. There were people watching them all the time. If any of them couldn't stand it, someone would pour some ice water into them. When Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were almost 2 hours away from their destination, they walked to the front of the group. Only a few healthy children could continue to lead a little. Looking at the posture of their walking, it was obvious that they didn't have any strength. In these few hours, 9 people had already left. Even if their family members were still looking at them with encouraging eyes, they no longer insisted on leaving. They even cried and made a scene. When they were at home, they had never suffered like this. The families of the 9 people couldn't force the children. They could only find food for the children under the contemptuous gazes of others. They also asked people to pull the children behind in a carriage. They wanted to see how the other children were like. They came here once and gained knowledge, so that they could go back and teach their children. At this time, Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan suddenly sped up. They went from walking quickly to jogging. One in front, 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 one in front. Their forearms swayed gently. Their expressions were relaxed, and their eyes were half open. They tried to reduce the consumption of energy as much as possible. It only took them a moment to become the leader of the children between the ages of 5 and 8. They even overtook more than 30 children between the ages of 8 and 12. The adults of the children between the ages of 5 and 8 could only look at the 2 distant figures and sigh. The families of the children of the other age group were surprised when they saw the 2 children overtaking them. They didn't expect that at this time. There were still people who could run. Chapter 153. The sun was setting. When evening came, 2 small figures on the grassland attracted almost everyone's attention. From the beginning, they were at the back of the pack. Now they were overtaking all the way. These 2 figures had reached the 13th and 14th positions among the 133 people. Especially in the later part of the race, they were overtaken one after another. Those children who were overtaken were not convinced at first, and tried to compete with them. However, after running for a while, they no longer had the energy. Basically, all the adults were more shocked than these 2 figures. Once they started running, they did not stop. The other children were so tired that they wished they could just lie there and not move. But these 2 figures did not seem to know fatigue. They were really too tenacious. At this time, the adults were envious of Zhang Jiazhuangzi and Wang Zhuangzi. Having two sensible and persistent children like them was what any parent would hope for. Unfortunately, these were not their children. The faces of the parents of the 9 children, who had already withdrawn from the competition, did not look good. Although another 5 children had withdrawn from the competition, they would only compare their children with the 2 figures, especially when the 2 figures were adults who were 10 years old. Look at them. 2 children who were 5 years old could persist and overtake all the way. Why couldn't a 10-year-old? The food and drinks at home had never been bad. Could it be that they had fed them something else? When they blamed their children in their hearts, they naturally forgot who was the one who not only did not tell their children when they were running like crazy and wasting a lot of energy, but also praised them from behind. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally did not know what others thought of them. They were still running. In front of them, they could already see the tents set up. They looked at each other and nodded. They slowed down slightly from running to walking. When they reached the tents, they could adjust their bodies. Now, they had already surpassed the 8th and 9th positions. Of the 7 people in front of them, 4 were 12 years old, 2 were 11 years old, and 1 was 10 years old. Li Sun was also among them. His Zhuangzi had taken 5 of the top 7 places this time. The children of the villagers could endure hardship and were fed well for a few days. Naturally, they were better than the other children. Young master, you're really amazing. You're actually the first to arrive. Sure enough, no one can compare to you. Young master, I've prepared something for you to eat. Li Sun was also exhausted. As for why he was the first to arrive, it was naturally because someone had let him go first. Originally, there were 2 children in his manor who were faster than him, but at the last moment, they slowed down and let him enter first. The 7 of them had just arrived and were all panting heavily. They didn't even have the strength to speak. They were obviously hungry, but when they saw the food on the table, they were indeed retching. They didn't even want to raise their arms. Hearing the servant's courteous words, Li Sun grinned and waved his hand. He grabbed the bowl of water beside him and poured it into his mouth. He lay on the carpet and gasped for breath. The other 6 people were not much better. After drinking the water, they lay down. As for the food, they couldn't eat it now. Wow, Xiaobao, look, there's so much delicious food. After we're done, we can eat. I see some rotten tendons and beef marrow. The chef between the clouds and the water is so good. He knows what we like to eat. The 7 of them were lying there gasping for breath when Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao walked in. Their eyes were fixed on the food on the table. Wang Wan took off her backpack and said happily, there was beef to eat. It wasn't that easy to eat. Not only did it cost money to buy the beef, it also had to pay a fine. As they spoke, the 2 of them began to stretch their legs to relax their muscles and tendons. From time to time, they would look at the food on the table with an expectant expression. Who's here now? Are you tired? Li Sun, who was lying there, heard someone speak. He wanted to show off. After all, he was the first to arrive. Even if he was the emperor's nephew, he still wanted to compete. After asking, he turned his head and suddenly sat up from the ground. You guys, how can it be you guys? That's not right. Why are you guys the first to come? Li Sun pointed at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were stretching their legs and didn't look tired at all, and asked with wide eyes. Why can't it be us? Wang Wan and Zhang Xiaobao replied almost at the same time. They put down their legs, which were almost done, and went to wash their hands in the basin next to them. They sat down at the table and began to eat. They specifically picked good food to eat, such as the beef bone marrow and the beef tendons that were a bit chewy. As for whether they could still eat good food later, it was none of their business. After eating a few mouthfuls of meat, they didn't eat anything else, especially the soybeans that were fried with meat. The chef knew that the 2 children couldn't eat too hard, so he specially cooked them. This time, not only did the taste become better, but the soybeans were also soft. After the 2 finished the soybeans, they began to eat the vegetables. The nutrition had to be balanced. Today's consumption of their bodies wasn't small, so they needed to replenish it. Xiaobao, look at that roasted chicken. How good is that roasted chicken? It's golden brown. One look and you can tell that it tastes good. Wang Wan said to Zhang Xiaobao with half a piece of braised meat in her mouth. pointing at the roasted chicken that was cooked the most. And good, it's really good. Then let's leave it for those who need it more. Come, let's eat something bad. This meat is fat, so let's eat this. Zhang Xiaobao swallowed a piece of fish egg in his mouth, then took a small knife and cut some meat from the back of the roasted whole lamb's neck. The fat and lean meat were evenly distributed, and he gave one to Wang Wan. The two of them didn't touch the chicken. As they ate other things, they kept praising how good the chicken was. Hearing this, the other 6 people lying there felt hungry and prepared to eat the chicken. Only Li Sun didn't move. He was still staring blankly at Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, who were eating and drinking. He kept muttering, "How could it be them? How could it be them? No, it shouldn't be them." When the 6 people got up to wash their hands, Li Sun was still muttering. The servant next to him had to come over and remind him, "Young master, shouldn't you eat something? This time we only killed 1 cow, and it was eaten by the 2 of them in a while. There's only 1 fried cow brain left, young master." When the servant spoke, his eyes never left Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan. He found that the 2 children were really good at eating. They ate everything that was good. Half of the fried cow brain had already been eaten by them. "You tell me what's going on. Why is it them? Go get Li Cheng, I want to ask." Li Sun was finally called back from some kind of profound state. He muttered again, got up to wash his hands and prepared to eat. The 6 people each held a roasted chicken and gnawed there. He wasn't that stupid. He directly sat next to Zhang Xiaobao and pushed the rest of the cow brain in front of Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan, hinting them to eat it. He picked up a piece of cow bone marrow and slowly ate there. After eating a piece of cow bone marrow, Li Sun put down his chopsticks and looked at the 2 people who were still eating and asked, "Zhang Xiaobao, can you tell me how you 2 came here?" "Of course we ran here. We are tired. Young master, Li, eat that chicken. I tell you, the best part is the chicken skin. If you don't believe me, you can try it." Zhang Xiaobao was really not polite. He really divided the cow brain and gave one to Wang Wan. The cow brain, which was not too small, shrank a lot after being fried with oil. While talking to Li Sun, he didn't forget to introduce the chicken. Li Sun curled his lips. He felt that asking this question was the same as not asking. He didn't get any information. As for the chicken, he didn't want to eat it. He picked up the knife and cut a piece of meat from the roasted whole lamb's chin. He dipped it in the salt and pepper on the side and put it in his mouth, chewing carefully. Seeing that Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan were almost done eating and started to drink soup, he asked again, "Then why did you 2 run so fast? When you 2 came in, you didn't seem to be tired." "I was so tired that I couldn't even stand." Zhang Xiaobao finished a small bowl of soup, put down his chopsticks and said to Li Sun, "Who knows why they ran so slowly? We were also puzzled. Of course you were tired. You came in first, so you ran fast. We came later." Zhang Xiaobao finished a small bowl of soup, put down his chopsticks and said to Li Sun, and then pointed to the roasted chicken. "Young master Li, you must not know that the most delicious part of the chicken is the chicken butt. If you remove the thing inside, it will be delicious. Think about it, the butt is full of oil, and then roast it again, the taste, don't mention it." When he said this, 2 of the 6 people really went to bite the chicken butt. Li Sun stopped his chopsticks. Originally, he wanted to pick up some sauce beef. When he heard that the chicken butt was so oily, he felt a little disgusted. He was not a child of a poor family. He didn't like to eat fatty meat. He opened his mouth and wanted to continue to ask, but didn't know what to ask. What he asked just now was useless, so he had to spoon some soup and slowly drink it, waiting for Li Cheng to come. Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan naturally didn't wait for him to continue to ask. The 2 people finished eating and went out to eat. They digested, took a bath, and went to sleep. Li Cheng hurried in from outside. At the same time, other people came in one after another. After a few people entered this tent, the people who came had to go to other tents. Naturally, they couldn't eat the cow brain, only 1 portion. "Young master, are you looking for this little one?" Li Cheng came to Li Sun and helped Li Sun to remove some meat from around the eyes of the sheep and put it on the plate in front of Li Sun and asked respectfully, Did Zhang Xiaobao and Wang Wan walk here by themselves? Didn't someone take them with a carriage or something? Li Sun picked up a bit of meat, stopped in front of his mouth, and asked before putting it in his mouth. In reply to young master, they came here by themselves. At the beginning they were the last. Later, when others were tired, they rushed all the way to catch up. In the last part of the road they ran. Many people didn't want to be overtaken by them, so they also ran. In the end they were still overtaken by them. Oh young master, there is one more thing. The two of them slept for a while in the afternoon. At noon, when others were hungry, they made themselves a meal. Maybe it was because they ate something? Otherwise, they would have been so tired at such a young age. Li Chung replied and told what happened at noon. Looking at young master's expression, he knew that this was really too shocking. You're tuning in to the Earbook Haven YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.